Hello and welcome back to the Zodiac Trial. Last time I had a bit of a problem with my recording device, so I thought maybe it was internet outage, but no, it seems all that was working fine. So I decided to try and record the rest in case there was like only 10 minutes left in the game, so I could finish up there, but no. No. Well, if you want to see that, you can either see it in my uploaded files from Twitch, or if you're watching this on YouTube, it should be in the same folder as the rest of episodes. But but for now, we've entered the true final part of the story. We've gotten all the cards successfully, all the different endings, but now it seems that I guess I should recap last time. Indeed, we did finally get the true ending, but it seems the people watching within and giving us clues about the various paths, complaining the outcomes were quote-unquote unstable. It seems those are actually the masterminds behind this to begin with, trying to find an outcome where they could easily control who lives and dies, and indeed, it seems they intended Mouse to be among those who did not come out under any circumstances. A rather interesting outcome, really, especially since we still don't technically know what she and Dragon are connected for. Sure, we can assume that Mouse might have been chosen because her father was the defense attorney who failed to protect Brian's father before, but that seems a bit of a tenuous connection. No, because while that does make sense, there are a lot of people who are much more connected to the whole thing. And while it's possible he's just being petty, father was also the only one who believed in him the entire time. Likewise, we know that Dragon, from her backstory, she told us in one timeline where Ox was poisoned that she runs a gang with her boyfriend. She protects them to the best of it, almost like family and themselves. Her boyfriend died to a scorpion, a pest scorpion of his, I think it was. Unusual circumstances, but even if he's connected to the case in some way, that still seems odd that Dragon would be selected over far more specifically connected people. And again, like with Mouse, it seems odd that she was marked as one of the people who was not supposed to come out alive under any circumstances. So, we need to find out what's going on. And so we found out Brian was indeed not working alone. Let's go back. Now, if you've been watching the whole time, you may remember from the first episode, she briefly mentioned that, yes, there's indeed the legend of the Chinese zodiac meant there was actually meant to be a 13th zodiac animal, the cat. But the mouse tricked it so that it would not be present for the race, and therefore there are only 12 zodiac animals. And so, with the Jade Emperor defeated, it seems, yes, the 13th animal is here for revenge, unsatisfied with the outcome. Dog was able to save us, Dragon, and Snake from whatever, and the true mastermind. The cat here was truly intended for us. However, he unfortunately sacrificed his life in the process. And now the cat is not particularly happy and wants us to be in one last death game, one that supposedly might be possible to bring everyone out alive, but they're not making that promise like the Jade Emperor did. Let's get the juicy bit, shall we? That is to say, the rules of the game shall all be facing off in. The rules of the Zodiac bid. The screen changed to an image of a wheel with the Zodiac animals all wrapped around it. First thing first, I want to explain how scoring will work. It's a little complicated, so it's absolutely critical to understand how we play, so let's start with this. Throughout the game, you may be able to collect animal cards. Alright, I'm starting from here. I apologize if anyone watched the VOD and doesn't want to recap here, but I want to make sure, just for the sake of people, if anyone's watching live. Alright, the thing about these cards, though, is there are point values dependent on who has them. Let's me explain the example. Say the mouse collects a mouse card. To her, it's worth 3. Say she also collects ox and pig card. Since each of those are one space away, those will be worth 2 points on the wheel. Following this pattern to her, tiger and dog will be worth 1 point. Oh yes, and it was mentioned the dog was indeed brought here along with the other Zodiac animal members, the jurors as they were called in the Jade Emperor's game. However, he is still not alive. I guess he was just here for the sake of being thematic, or perhaps a twisted joke by the cat. Bunny and Monkey would be worth nothing. The dragon and the rooster would be with -1 point. Snake and sheep would be worth -2, and the horse would be a full -3. However, as said, the points awarded to a card is based on distance to the zodiac wheel from the owner, so if pig or ox got their hands on the mouse card, it would indeed be worth 2 points. If the horse got their hands on the mouse card, it's -3. Simple, is it not? If you understand these basic rules, you already understand half the game. This will take place over the course of 12 rounds. There are 48 cards, 4 of every animal. The first 2 rounds, 9 cards will be dealt on a communal table. The next 3, 6 will be dealt. In the next 4 rounds, 3 will be dealt. In the final 3 rounds will commence without any cards being dealt. Every round will last 30 minutes. At the end of the round, cards present on the communal table will be displayed on everyone's computer. And then for the next 33 seconds, everyone will be forced to take an action. I'm guessing that 33 is not a coincidence, is not a random number that the cast selected. It has to mean something because it's not an even 30, like you'd expect. Failure to take an action will result in execution. Operating a computer that doesn't correspond to your animal will also result in execution. There are a total of 4 actions you can take. You can attempt to take any card currently on the table. If you're the only person to take that card, congratulations, it's transferred to your hand. However, if multiple people attempt to take the same card, it'll be ripped in the struggle. No one will receive the card. If nobody attempts to take a card, the card will remain on the communal table until someone does attempt to take it. If you have cards in your hand, you can choose to set the card on the communal table. If you do this, the card will appear on the communal table in future rounds until it is taken. Alternatively, you could just give a card to a fellow player. This will transfer a card directly from your hand to theirs. Finally, if all this transferring business is too much for you, you can always choose to check. If you do this, you'll learn how many cards a person has in their hand. That's not the only way of getting info, of course. And then in even-numbered rounds, the current point total will be projected in this room. Anyway, the game will continue until someone can amass a hand worth 9 points. At the time, the animal with the winning hand will be considered the dominant animal. Then we'll check who has the dominant animal cards in their hand. Whoever has the most cards in their hand will be proclaimed the winner. In the case of a tie, there can be multiple winners. The winners will be able to leave this building peacefully. On the other hand, non-winners will be faced with execution. How exciting! That's it, basically. The rules are simple, don't you think? Anyways, the round will begin shortly. Oh, I suppose there are 2 things I should mention. Firstly, if all 12 rounds pass without someone assembling 9 points, I'll have to declare the game null and void. In that case, I'll just execute everybody. Second, it'll be mean if people got caught off guard by the action phase of the round starting. To help with that, a warning will play through the school 2 minutes before the action phase begins. Okay, ready for some fun? Show me a game that's a little less predictable, why don't you? With that, the projection shut down. Well, that was something. Okay, a temperature check real quick. I'm not saying the Zodiac race was all that much better, but at least it had the air of some sort of final judgment. Feels like this is a bad game show, don't you think? I mean, am I imagining this? Is this just me? Because it feels like it's incredible how much less authentic this feels. Yeah, we got the sense that while the Zodiac race had a lot of setup and planning behind it, feels like this was thrown together at the last minute, using basically stuff, whatever remained from the setup from the Zodiac race. Yeah, I kind of get what you're saying. It seems different somehow. I remain unsure if this game is more artistic or less than the one we faced before. However, whatever the case may be, the truth remains unaltered. We shall have to face this game down head on. Hey, but we can do that easily. I mean, I get what we need to do. I'm not even that smart. The cat said if there's a tie in terms of dominant animal cards, everyone can win, which means as long as nobody takes a winner's card, we all get out alive, right? However, the winner's card will be the easiest way for the winner to get the needed 9 points, no? Oh, and for the record, Monkey did speak up during there and got just shocked remotely as an example to everyone. So we do have proof that the person is not joking, that they can execute us at will. I figured that was the case. I mean, the Zodiac Trial has a lot of those alternate endings, including, and you have to get at least one bad end before you can go for the true. Well, even if you go for the true ending, because while you technically only need one ending, sheep's ending, in order to get the information for the computer to unlock this one, you still need to get the information about the true name and roles of other people in the Zodiac race. So that's likely 2 more. So yeah. It's not going to be easy, that's for sure, but it seems like there was no direct timeline hopping, but rather the conspirators working together try and deduct exactly how they wanted to handle this. Snake did also point out at the start of the original game that 2 people were playing chess, meaning, yes, the Jade Emperor had help, and he does not play chess, so he can't. So it seems there's at least 2 more people involved here. And we can't, as nice as some people like Monkey are, we can't hey, Monkey isn't responsible, because we did find out she pulled a Harley Quinn. She grew intrigued by Brian, the Jade Emperor's master plan. Likewise, it could have even been Dog has been involved, and that's why he works so hard to mess up the quote-unquote perfect ending, where only the people they needed to ensure didn't survive, where they could control and make sure only the people who needed to die would. The winner's card will be the easiest way to get 9. Is that not an issue to consider? There's also the cards with 2 and 1 points the winner. If someone can get a total of 24 points without getting a single card on their own. However, things aren't going to end there, are they? Huh? Horse is right. Last time the Jade Emperor added a rule later on which made me and Ox a traitor. They're probably going to pull something like that again, and unlike last time, it doesn't sound like there's any items or anything to let us fix that. We're going to be alright? Okay, everyone, listen up. We really don't have time to lose on the typical petty squabbling or banter which constituted most of our time in the last moronic death game we're all put into. The rules this time are harsher and the time limits are a lot tighter. Likewise, the cat was not nice enough to say as long as we work together, we can live and live. However, I must point out we do have at least one thing going for us that wasn't the case in the last game. Dog starts out this game dead, which means if someone needs to be sacrificed, we have someone we can throw. In fact, I'm sure if he was here, he'd say, yeah, use me. Yeah. So, well, hopefully we can, if we can only get out here with all but one survivor, we know who to throw out to the wolves, so to speak. The cretin behind this game decides later. If the cretin behind this game later decides to alter the game in from a team effort to lynching, well, there's not much we can do. Instead, we simply have to establish and follow an optimal strategy. In that case, doing so is not a particularly difficult mission. First off, we need to choose somebody as a designated winner. For the sake of ease, let's say that person with Tiger. She's our mascot, basically, right? Let's go with her. Hell yeah! Now, the cards will score Tiger, other Tiger cards, other than Tiger cards, are Mouse, Ox, Bunny, and Dragon. Therefore, Mouse, myself, Bunny, and Dragon will be responsible for picking up our own type of card and then gifting it Tiger. For the sake of things, Pig and Snake can also pick up their own type of card and gift Tiger, as those will be neutral to a score. As for everyone else, your job will simply be to not interfere, check on someone around when there's nothing to do. On the other hand, if a Tiger card shows up, everybody not assigned a task should try and take it. That will inevitably result in a Tiger card being ripped up. With this, it's inevitable Tiger will eventually win without a single Tiger card landing in somebody's hands. Really just taking control of the group, aren't you? Please don't do this. We don't have time. Does anyone have any additional objections? It seems like a sensible enough strategy. I think it makes sense. I see no issues. Great, then in that case we have a plan. Okay, do whatever you want till the 2-minute warning. Like that, people began to disperse. Class disassembled. Frankly, I wasn't so confident in everything going nearly as cleanly as Ox claimed it would. I was also still confused about so many points. There were a lot of mysteries about, and I could feel myself on the cusp of solving at least a few. The key had to lie with the incident surrounding Amadeus Bowen's murder. To get to the bottom of it, I needed to interrogate people some more, so it was just a matter of who to talk to. Alright, I'm gonna have to put the save here, because we're going to have to do a lot, be smart about the deduction here. Bunny was just going with the flow, and therefore he's not likely to know too much. Pig was paid to just act shady. In fact, she said this isn't even the first time she's gotten that. Monkey was not a direct witness, but was... Rooster might just be here for sake of his parents rather than he himself, so it's hard to say. Like us, he's got a bit of a tenuous connection. Tiger, we know why she's here. It's because she was a witness in that crime, and also she committed a murder in her past. Who to talk to? We know she just sold out her boss because she was getting she had only finally escaped her past, only for it to come back to her, and she had to get the tension off her immediately. Even she regrets it. Horse is just a gang member who was paid. Horse doesn't talk unless he's absolutely required. Snake and Dragon were the ones who were supposed to die alongside us, so these two might be worth considering, but we already spoke with Snake about the case back during the thing, along with Dragon, so we might not need to speak with them. Monkey was Brian's therapist. Surely her input would be insightful. I had to ask her about that. It's something of a breach of parent-client confidentiality, but at this point I suppose it's a bit of a moot point. I don't think he'll get much out of me. I tried to approach Brian on his own terms, but that appeared to have backfired somewhat. I should have stomped out delusions at the root. You entertain delusions? Let him talk out his ideals. It was often a useful tool to help people come to senses on their own, but for some reason my guidance wasn't working. It was like he was somehow getting worse every session. And more than just that, it's as though his theories, delusions about what happened to his father and how corrupt it was, they became more elaborate. No, elaborate's not the right word. Detailed. It's as though he's become more and more knowledgeable on the topic. As though he's becoming more knowledgeable, he was becoming more convinced of his worldview. At some point I definitely should have shifted tactics. I know I was dealing with a larger scale case, but I thought that just meant I needed to take my time with him. Now that would lead to this. And as I don't have anything that was helpful. Oh, I think it was. Good to hear. I'll keep investigating things on my end. You do that, but Mouse? No. Mary? My heart stopped for a second. Been a while since someone referred to me by a true name. Yes? Please don't overexert yourself. I know this is doing a number on you. I just don't want you to break. Yeah, well, I get the feeling I need more sessions after this. Interestingly, we actually don't know what Mouse looks like exactly. I mean, you might have seen it when I started up the game a couple times on stream, or you might even checked if you looked at the Steam store or itch.io store pages where it has a quick preview of everyone. But Mouse, it only shows the back of her head, not the front. I feel like I'm gonna need a lot more sessions after this. Indeed, perhaps we should try hypnotherapy again. Oh, please, no. 3 out long and boring sessions were enough for me, thank you. I'm gonna say I was very curious if it would work. Well, you got your answer. That I did. It was nice through all the chaos and tragedy, at least had Monkey to fall back on. Mouse, in all seriousness, are you doing okay? I don't know how I'm holding up. What an emotionally mature response. I'm impressed with their growth. My growth? The old you would never have given such a measured response. Certainly not in a situation like this. Oh well, thanks I guess. You're welcome, I guess. On a slightly awkward note, our conversation ended. I left the casting with an interesting fact on my belt. I don't think Rooster's going to say much of anything, honestly. And for Dog would probably have had the best information here, but he is already taken care of. I haven't heard much of Rooster about the whole incident, but he's also here. Surely he had something to chip in? I found him wandering around the auditorium as though he was looking for someone. Mouse, what is it? Want my autograph? Rooster, I thought we established the point I'm not just some fan. Of course you're not just some fan, you're my #1 fan, right? I kid. You do know that a lot of this is a shtick, right? It's hard to tell sometimes. Anyways, what do you want to talk about? The Amadeus Bowen case. Is there anything you can tell me about it? That old thing. Don't get me started. Just think about the Amadeus asshole gets me heated. Look, I wasn't even brought during the trial, so clearly nothing saw was that relevant, right? There's gotta be something you tell me. I know what you expected from me, Mouse. I came in, sat by Tiger, had one of those water cups sitting out because I was thirsty, and I don't know. Something in that thing just didn't agree with me. I just had to get the restroom stat. I dealt with the situation, returned to the waiting room. I was kept waiting for too long. Time of progeny is very precious, Mouse, and don't forget that. I stormed his office to find he just wasn't even there. I looked around, but then Sheep came in and started bothering me, telling me to leave. So you just looked around his office, just the architecture? Well, you know, what if I was looking for something else? Something else? Look, my parents are wealthy and influential. However, I ended up estranged from them when I stood by morals and couldn't condone with something they were doing. But from my conversation with them, it seemed Amadeus might have been the real reason they were doing what they were. So it's such a crime to look in the offices of such a late asshole I was suspicious of. I didn't find anything. Okay, settle down there. I didn't mean to accuse you. No, the fault's mine. I apologize for losing control. It's just these damn death games starting to get to me. I thought I was cooler than this. A reasonable reaction. Not for a hero. You're a hero? Well, you tell me. Am I a hero? Sure. His eyes narrowed. Apparently it wasn't particularly convincing. Anyways, I gotta get going. There's lots of things to do after all. But good luck with all this, Mouse. We need someone to sort things out. If it's not me, it should be you. Just like that, our conversation was over. Oh, it may just let me speak with all of them. Well, Bunny was the arresting officer. He was an actual cop on the scene. He might have some insights. I paid him a visit. Oh, you want to ask me some questions about the incident? I don't know how that'll help this specific situation, but sure, fire away. Bunny stood nonchalantly leaning against the wall. He was tossing a small globe in the air with his left hand. From what I could tell, he seemed to be left-handed. My guess is one of the things stood out to me is how quickly you were able to find Bowen's body. Yeah, being able to recover so quickly was pretty impressive. I was wondering specifically how you were able to find it. Well, it's not really a big mystery. First things first, when I heard about the missing person, I asked around to get an idea of the situation. I talked with Tiger, who was sitting near the scene when he was last seen. She gave me a very useful tip she hadn't seen him leave his office. I knew the office was empty. That's why Sheep called me, but a witness telling me the man should still be in there. I thought it wise really look in there. When I saw that safe and saw it was life-size, just had to check it out. How'd you open it? I borrowed the master key from Sheep. Master key? Yeah, they can unlock pretty much anything and in the building, including the safe. For them, you don't even need to know the safe's passcode. Seems pretty irresponsible that those also act as a safe. I guess Bowen just trusted Sheep that much. Alright, I guess that all adds up. You pass. I pass. Well, good for me. Good for you. I heard about everything Dog said from Snake and Dragon. Oh? Yeah, they kind of explained the situation in the group. That's nice. I suppose you think I'm pretty scummy, huh? I mean, I'm sort of complicit in the whole corrupt police force. Dog wasn't lying. It's pretty bad. They do blackmail you. I've been trying to help things on the inside, but I'm pretty much trash, huh? Well, I guess it depends. What does that mean? At the moment, yeah, you're looking pretty bad, but I don't think you ever stray so far off the path you can't get on it. You've been trying to help from the inside, then if you actually, help, I think things turn around. Oh, but I'm not saying it's gonna be easy, I'm saying to not be trash, that's what you have to do. Just like that, I walked away from him. Honestly, I probably should have given him a bit more positive reinforcement, especially since he seems like he really is trying to be a better person, but I don't know, maybe I'm being too harsh. Perhaps, I don't know. Oh, I don't know, do you think I'm being too harsh on him? Do you think I'm being a bit too easy on him? By all means, feel free to argue with me in the comments if you so wish. I am very open to such discussion. Rest assured, I'm definitely one of those people who is totally fine with people who disagree, especially for something like this. So, also, I can't lie, it does help the algorithm, so by all means. Horse's role was heavily suspect. Why was he there in the first place? I feel like getting to the bottom of this would be important. I don't think he's going to tell me, honestly. You really want to talk about this? Why wouldn't I? Aren't there bigger concerns at the moment? This and that are both connected, you know that. And if you say so, what are you going to ask me? Why were you meeting with Bo in his office so early in the morning? I know you said you were discussing construction going on nearby in the building, but that isn't really the truth, is it? Nothing I know about Bowen suggests that's how he'd handle such a matter. I suppose there's no harm in telling you, here and now. In the past, I used to be a very different person. Because of that past, Bowen had on several occasions tried to scout me to do a certain type of work for him. I refused, explained to him it wasn't really me that did all that. He pushed the matter. That morning, he finally found a pressure point he needed to make me to agree to his unreasonable requests. He called me to discuss it because it was the type of thing that needed to be discussed face to face. When I left his office, I was convinced I would have to work for him. Then he died a few hours later. How lucky for me, huh? Could you tell me what the pressure point was? Or stood there in silence for a couple seconds before responding. Mouse, have you committed grave sin in the past? Would you be able to live with yourself? Well, I guess it depends. What the sin is matters a lot here, don't you think? But if it was really bad, it's not like I can just give up living, you know? I guess, I don't know, accept as part of who I was? I need to know more, I guess. Alright, so this actually does matter. I mean, I definitely have to hold myself accountable, but assuming I agree to change, I think I could continue. I mean, now that it almost seems more selfish, you know, to wallow in self-pity, but what's the good can be done? Horse didn't respond. Okay, something tells me which I responded, he's gonna answer in the end. Well, I'm glad I stayed at the beginning, then. I'm gonna be speaking with everyone, it looks like. Ox prosecuted Mr. Morris. He should have a thorough grasp of the case. I decided to find him and speak with him about his perspective on this. How certain am I that Aaron Morse is the culprit? Before all this, I would have said 100%, and now, perhaps 95? Only 5% lower? Look, the possibility of a grand conspiracy is certainly present, I'll tell you that. But I also oversaw a lot of the evidence. I looked through it, a lot of it myself. According to your story, the chief of police might have been trying to give this case the decisive edge, but it's not like he didn't have a good reason. He may have wanted to prevent the bit about the knife coming out, but it's also pretty clear who the killer had to be. None of the people who involved much of a connection for this, so the possibility of accomplices is minimal. Ox does have a very good point here. While it is entirely possible for someone to be framing him innocent, it's also very common to frame the guilty party, which ironically can end up making them look more innocent than they would be normally. That's also why during Great Ace Attorney I was under the theory, and the opposite is true as well, that's why during Great Ace Attorney I wondered, could it be that McGilded actually is innocent, but he's not convinced it's enough, so he's trying to create more evidence to make his innocence more clear-cut. Now, whether or not that's the actual case, we'll have to see, but yeah, it's not impossible. I'm not sure if it would be how interesting narratively it'd be if that was indeed the case, but you never know. The whole cavalcade of evidence points at Aaron Morris, and it's impossible for anyone else to have done it. That's the thing, though. Isn't it suspicious just how obvious Morris was? Wouldn't he have hidden it better? He couldn't have known he'd be found out so quickly. I guess, but there's still things he could have done better, like, say, why sit in that delayed text? Doesn't that speed up the process for revealing he's missing? The biggest mistake you're making is taking Snake and Tiger's testimony for granted. A reasonable person with a knowledge of schedule would probably know to be wary you might be seen through the waiting rooms. However, that person couldn't have expected Snake would have been such a vigilant watcher, and not just look on his phone or sit in a position that wouldn't give him a constant view of the room. Nobody could have. He couldn't have anticipated Rooster barging into the office. He couldn't have anticipated Bunny finding the body. Yeah. Snake seeing nobody in the office would reinforce his dumb story about Bowen being out of the office when Morris entered. He would have written it off as Bowen having left the office at some point, probably when Sheep went to get breakfast on the first floor as usual. Bowen going missing would be a lot broader, and he still had the stolen MasterCard, so he could come back at a later date to dispose of the body, and not just leave it in the safe. I guess when we put it like that, it does make more sense to face it, Mouse. We got the right man the first time. He had the motive. He was the one who could have stolen all the money out of the safe. We found the bills in the car. He had to do it. And if you did get the wrong man, if you had a hand How would you feel if you had to hand an execution of an innocent person? Would you be able to admit it? What are you talking about? Of course I'd admit it. Why wouldn't I? I mean, you're a good guy, Ox. I haven't known you that long, but even I can tell. So if you brought there or thought there was a better chance, you'd tell me. Because you don't think so, that doesn't mean you're right. By all means, Mouse, prove me wrong. With everything settled, I left Ox's... Ow, my ears. Was that 2-minute warning? Anyway, point made clearly. I heard over the classroom I woke up in. There I found the computer with Mouse's image attached to it. Looking at the computer again, it was clear someone had cut out... Holy crap, this... Okay, I'm gonna be honest, that was really annoying for how long it went on. I get that's supposed to represent... I get supposed to give the contestants time to register what's going on, head to the rooms, look at the computer again, it was clear someone just cut a generic mouse logo and attached to the computer. This felt a lot cheaper than the previous production. I guess it's to be expected. The whole thing had a different vibe. It would have to, since it was being hosted by someone else, it had to be. Because Brian was already dead, right? No, Ox told me they positively identified him, the police guaranteed it. Police. Before I could think about any more, the screen flashed to life. Time to put action. Taken aback by how bare bones old production was. It was just a black screen with green text I could mouse over and click on. This really was a rush job. It was not made by the same person. Remember, because one of the things they mentioned at the start of the Zodiac race was that the thing had a clearly high-quality programming job done on it. They even managed to make it user-friendly. Oh no, but if they didn't user-friendly for Tiger's disability, but remember, she can't read, or at least not read properly. That means if they didn't take that into account, however, there's no time to focus on such details. The window was only 33 seconds, shockingly low. This was to prevent you from thinking clearly. First things first, read the community table. Mouse of hearts, ox of hearts, tiger of clubs, tiger of diamonds, tiger of spades, bunny of hearts, snake of hearts. This was the result of the communal pool, very disturbing. However, I don't have time to contemplate. My job wasn't change. Saw a mouse and need to grab the mouse card. Take and scold a mouse of hearts. After that, the computer shut off. Task done. Now, time to deal with the fallout of the communal table. Already some thoughts about it, but I imagine the group would have plenty more. Boom. Made my way to the source. The classroom on the second floor. After looking around, I immediately turned around. The classroom was nicely decorated. The walls were marked directions with the compass rose. An eastern wall, western wall. There's a big bookshelf, desk for students, a desk for the teacher, but none of that was what drew my attention. What drew my attention was Dog's flaming corpse. The others gathered around the scene were experiencing similar reactions. What was this? Moment's thinking led me to answer. Of course. Failure to input an action results. Dog being dead, couldn't exactly input a move. Circle gets a square. Without the space in my head for another thought, I turned around, made my way back to the library where people were meeting. What the hell was that? You mean Dog's corpse getting blown up? No, not that. Who gives a shit? I'm talking about the dealt cards. I mean, what are the odds? Is everything doomed? Okay, hold on now. First things first. Tiger, Rope, Sheep, Monkey, 5 were able to take Tiger's cards when they were on the table. Additionally, speaking of the predicament, Snake or Pig might decide to help out by taking a card. So I went state specifically what cards they went. I just grabbed the Tiger of Hearts and to match all the other ones. Also grabbed the first Tiger card. I thought we needed to try and rip up such a Tiger of Diamonds. I decided often was best to table last, hence Tiger of Spades. I also took the Tiger of Spades. I thought the card least likely to be taken. I didn't know what to do. I didn't want to be suspicious, so I just checked Snake. He didn't have a card. And I wonder what actually determines the number of cards someone had at the start to around to the end. That point is ambiguous. And I realized predicament, and I decided to pick a Tiger card, specific Tiger of Diamonds. Okay, so it sounds like everything were grabbed, right? Multiple people took 3 types of the Tiger cards, so that should be destroyed. Nobody took the Tiger club, so we can destroy that next round. That would be great. Alright, good. So we're not screwed. Oh, Bunny, must you act so deceitfully? You're a clever one, aren't you? You should be aware you just described couldn't have happened. Wait, it couldn't have? Let's start with a simple fact. The distribution of these cards was anything but random. I suppose the cat never stated they would be random, so this is still above the board. At any rate, they specifically flooded this type of card we want to destroy in order to reduce our ability to destroy it. They specifically flooded us with the type of card we wanted to destroy in order to reduce our ability to destroy it. That also is the reason why the other cards are the ones people tasked with collecting, to reduce the amount of potential crossfire. Then here's a question, why go through this trouble if we're all working together? There's already a traitor in our midst. What? Last time the traitors were assigned with a public announcement, but we have no assurance they will still play by the same rules. The game would be far too easy if there's no such traitor. Exactly. I'm surprised Horse, of all people, was the one who would catch on. At any rate, if the cat's willing to deliberately send out cards in order to mess with us, there are various other things that wouldn't explicably be against the rules. For instance, there's no rule against the cat monitoring everyone else's choices and informing the traitor which Tiger card was left unclaimed. Put simply, we are once again facing off an unknown enemy. So I have to suspect, Bunny, you wouldn't point this out. Well, it's a thing called tax snake. I think a man like you would know about it. Oh, is that what that was? My apologies. Rushing the assumption there is, in fact, a traitor can be dangerous. For all we know, the cards were sent this way in order to cause chaos and disruption among ourselves. Let's think and proceed very quickly. I have an idea. Couldn't we just transition to another animal or designated winner? It's not like there's any good reason for it to be Tiger in the first place. Hey, we could usually make a horse who hasn't been dealt any cards yet. But the cat's clearly watching our plans. We just say they don't try the same thing again. Well, this time we can come up with a more concrete plan to make sure they're destroyed. No, there's a simpler method. Next round, we'll check if there is in fact a tiger of clubs in the communal table. If there is, there's nothing to worry about. If there isn't, we just need to find out who has it. Since the other 3 types were specifically taken by 2 people, one person didn't take the card they're playing, the other person would have received the card they attempted to take. Therefore, if next round you have the card you attempted to take, you know who took it. With that in mind, the 6 people who took Tiger's cards check the 6 people who didn't. And to see who has something they're not supposed to. Tiger can check me, Snake can check Dragon, Rooster check Mouse, Monkey check Pig, Horse check Bunny, although that's likely a Luke point, Sheep can check Dog. With this, we'll know exactly what happened to the other card. The rest of us will go to Tiger our cards, try and raise our score. Even if all 4 of us do it, she'll only reach a score of 8, so we don't need to do it. Hell yeah, Ox, that's how you do it. New plan in place. We'll show this damn traitor the Zodiac Animals aren't going down easy. The Zodiac Animals? What are we, a sports team? No, it's just, a group name. But I mean, we could be a sports team, we should. I'll pass. But the Ox's plan makes sense, I think we should go with that. Very well, this sounds acceptable. I guess we can go with it. And just like that, we were established. However, it was markedly more fragile before, like a hair's breadth from shattering, but that couldn't be helped. As the group, I decided to resume the investigation. Tiger's another key witness. She probably had some insight. I paid her a visit. That old thing? I wish people would quit asking me about it. I mean, yeah, I know it was important, but my memory's not the best, Well, you don't need to run down the whole thing. I just have a few questions. Alright, shoot. I feel dumb about what I'm going to ask. Mouse, don't say believe in yourself. I'm sure you're going to ask a great question. Okay, are you sure you didn't see anyone in Airbone's office? Of course. We're talking about I definitely would mention something like that. I figured, but you would have seen it, right? No, totally. I was reading a magazine they had laid out. It was like light reading. I was decidedly facing the door window. And then when the ball wins office, it swings all the way out to cover the window. Honestly, a bit of a design flaw, you ask me. But as I definitely took note every time that happened. What about the outside window? We looking at that? No, why? Is that relevant? Probably not. Just wanted to ask. Alright, then. Anything else? One other thing. You wanted to wait until the cops were already in the building before you left the waiting room, right? Uh-huh. Why'd you do that, anyway? I don't know. I was nowhere else to be that day. So wasn't told to leave. That makes sense. That's about it. Great. Hope that helped. Thanks for indulging me. No problem. Honestly, anything to take my mind off the situation. First time, cute. This time, kind of infuriating. I'm trying to keep my cool, but yeesh, this isn't easy. Sometimes I feel like my emotions are moving my body for me. Huh. Breathe. Yeah, maybe we should try some breathing exercises. They've helped me a lot with calming down stuff, and they're not hard to remember. It'll help you cool down. Think you'll help your breathing, huh? Not exactly. Sounds fun. I'll look into it. Oh, okay then. With that, my diary came to a close. Snake was a critical witness. He must have some sort of insight. However, after I found him, I was met something of a wall. My deepest apologies, Mouse, but everything I have to say in the instance has been spoken for. At the time, my mind was elsewhere. It's not as though I was able to catch some keen details the police might have missed. I was rather zoned out, all things considered. I'm afraid my perspective won't add anything. I sighed. I was afraid of this. I think our investigation is easy. That by just asking the right questions and truth will be made clear. I was kind of hoping for that. I'm sad to say, Mouse, life rarely works so cleanly. It's messy, full of things you'd rather be a different way. Take my life, for instance. I've spent many years acting as a teacher, putting my art to the side. Because of that, I've never been able to reach my full potential. Ah, how regretful. Hey, it's not too late. Oh? Hey, come on, you're not dead yet. At present, that is true. Just because you've been wasting time doesn't mean you just don't still have a lot of time left to chase your dreams. If your true passions are, dedicate yourself to it. Ah, what an optimistic, youthful take on the matter. You make me long for simpler days. With a seemingly dismissive comment, Snake dismissed me. Hasn't been a waste? Oh, so what have you been doing all full-time? You've been a teacher, presumably a good one. That's like a super important job. You're shaping the future generation, isn't that? What a hopeful take on the matter. You make me long for simpler days. Yeah, I'm not sure which of these is supposed to be correct. Sheep was Bowen's secretary. She should have known him best. Certainly she had insights. You want to talk about that? I mean, I guess, yeah, I can answer a question. Awesome! First up, when was the last time I had direct contact with him? It was a bit after Snake had come in. He talked with me a bit on the intercom, not really about anything productive. He didn't bother to talk to you face to face more. From the sounds of things, he was lying on the couch. He had a habit of doing things like that. That's not a habit to have. Yeah, well, I don't think people really understand what Amadeus was like. I've never met someone so confident at all times. He had a good reason, because no matter the situation, he was always in control. He always knew how to strike at your weakness. He certainly knew mine. Oh, don't get me wrong, I would never condone murder, never ever, but I mean, I get why Aaron did what he did. Amadeus did a lot of things I don't want to remember. He was a very, very, very bad boss. I can't imagine how he treated Aaron. Not too bad, imagine, or else why go the two go out to drink like it was something normal? Yeah, well, it's not like Amadeus always had it easy earlier. He had a rough time of it when he was a kid. Who gives a shit? That is an understandable response. Say, Mouse, What would you do with the horrible past? How would you handle it? Me? Even if it's the old stuff you'd rather not remember? Are you gonna shy away from memories because they scare you? An act? Oh, that's, look, life sucks, you gotta go through a lot of shit. I think that's a bit more harsh-ended. Huh? I mean, every hardship, there's something you can learn from, right? To convict the important stuff would be pretty dumb, but at the same time, that doesn't mean you should hold on to things that'll just drag you down. I mean, use your best judgment, you know? Yeah, that makes sense, that's good advice. Of course, advice, I'm giving it. And he's like, I get going. Oh, okay, then. Curiosity stated, I left Sheep to herself. I still couldn't fit Dragon in the puzzle. For that reason alone, I needed to talk with her. She wasn't too pleased to see me. Don't you have better things to do? Huh, whatever, ask away. Thank you, Dragon. Yeah, get on with it. Put it simply, are you sure you have no collection of all this? If I knew, I'd tell you, okay? Although, actually, I do know. You do? Yeah, I heard something from Dog during our stay at his dungeon. Apparently, I used to run by his bar pretty frequently at the time of the incident. Really? Yeah, and once he said that, I realized I did recognize him. He was right, I was a semi-regular customer of his a while back. But his place was usually the end of my bar crawl, not the start of them. I hardly remember anything from that time. Ah, that's a connection, though. Maybe that's why we were bought. So something must have happened there, something important. Think I don't know that, dickwad? Ever since Dog told me that, I've been focusing, thinking. Something must have happened one of those nights, something, but it's not coming to me. I think there's a chance I saw something or saw somebody, but despite my best efforts, it's not coming to me. But maybe somebody doesn't know that, huh? Forget it. And that's true, the mastermind might have brought it here simply assuming that if anyone could have seen something that would have been a problem, it would have been Dragon, and that's why she was marked for one of the people that had to be removed. If we think about this, then this means that, whatever, or a Snake, the fact Snake didn't see anything may actually be important. I mean, Tiger was also a witness, but she also mentioned that it blocks her view, the door opening blocks her view entirely, so her view is actually quite limited in some ways. This whole thing's bullshit. It is. Still, I'm probably doing this better than y'all. After all, I'm used to living in danger. Because you're a gang leader, right? Pretty much. You should really, quit that. Oh, really? Thanks. I didn't think of that. I'm serious. Give me one good reason why I should stop. For gang safety. My gang safety? How are they gonna be safe when I'm not leading them? Maybe we should tell them to go over it well. Oh, sure, that'd go real well. I'm just saying you've got a lot of influence. You could do a lot of good, or keep going in the wrong. You could get a bunch of friends killed. Oh, screw you. What do you know about laws? The hell gives you right to keep your nose at my business? I sighed and walked away. That wasn't much else I could do. Pig's last one was a journalist at the time. Not just that, she's perhaps the only unbiased perspective in all this. Surely speaking with her about it could be useful. Sorry if I don't really anything I know is going to be useful and all that. I thought you did reporting all the time. Oh, I did, but a while ago I did do a lot of reporting. That was a while ago, and I do a lot of reporting about a lot of things on top of my couple other jobs. The details I know are fuzzy, probably fuzzier than even yours are. I don't know if I could be any help. I sighed. I get it. If I just ask you the case from thin air, how it'd be... I get if I just ask you about a case from thin air, it'd be difficult for you. But after all this happened, if you got free, sure you go back and relook at the case, right? Oh, I've been way too busy for that, and this new case is just way more mysterious. Alright. Is there anything to know about the Zodiac Trial? Oh, damn straight there is. There's a ton of weird details about this thing that don't make a lick of sense, like Rooster and Sheep's kidnappings. The investigations surrounding it, they happen in different locations miles apart, so they happen within a couple minutes. I mean, the timeline's rough and all, but the generous assumption in all regards, that doesn't make sense. A single teenager could handle everything. That is concerning. And that's not all. Do you know pretty much every aspect of the Zodiac race that wasn't automated could be controlled via a custom app Brian created? Yeah, and he installed that app on 2 separate burner phones. Why 2? In fact, why put them on phones at all? He could control from a laptop that was found burned in his base. That is strange. So yeah, maybe think twice to calling me. So you're the one who called yourself that. I've been busy looking into all this. I don't know how useful it's gonna be though. Oh dang, I think Pig might have given our biggest information so far. Yeah, so it's clear Brian was killed either during the Zodiac race or before, and we were given entirely pre-recorded stuff. He had to do stuff from his phone because stuff was given off his phone to give to his accomplices. Okay, so we have confirmation it's impossible one person could have done this alone, and that he had to have had accomplices because he would have just used it from his laptop if it was him alone. Well, as if it wasn't already obvious from the cat, but you know what I mean. It's super useful, actually. Pig stared at me blankly. It seems he didn't believe me. Then after a pause, Pig smoked. But there's something useful I can do. What are you talking about? Look, this whole game, it's obviously a slappy job. Don't get me wrong, it's functional. It, works. But there wasn't nearly enough time and care put into this, so it was put in the Zodiac race. Looking at the computers, I could tell the coding was done by an amateur. I think I could take advantage. How'd you do that? Programming these computers, they're running atop the computer's usual functions. I can tell the programs are made using very cookie-cutter application, and that has some exploits. It's possible I can get screen behind a program, that is to say, access the actual computer, without I can contact and get his help, or if that fails, I can look at the programming, see if I can uncover everything. I don't know exactly, just something. I feel obligated. Encourage it. That sounds awesome, Pig. Definitely try that. It's our chance to turn things around, a chance to strike back. Normally I'd say this is risky, but remember, this is The tablets from the Zodiac race were mentioned to be extremely well programmed, and in fact, I think Pig was the one who specifically pointed that out. But the fact these are just base level stuff means whoever does this is not nearly as competent. They won't suspect, especially since we didn't even attempt to hack the computers during the Zodiac race, so it's highly likely the cat doesn't realize this is even a possibility. Exactly, I'm glad you see it that way. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead. I don't want to be complacent anymore. Can't be passive. This is my life, you know? My life is on the line. I'm not gonna roll over. That's for certain. And with those oddly determined words, Pig walked away. Yeah, like I said, pigs are actually extremely smart animals. Do not underestimate them. If we can use that for good, we might be able to get out of here. It seemed like something changed in Pig compared to the girl I met when I first woke up in that crappy high school. Good for her. That's pretty much everybody. As if I cue the 2-minute alarm. I suppose this is the moment of truth, huh? Time to find exactly what we were dealing with. I made way to the computer and watched it come to life. Then I nervously read the card list. Mouse, ox, bunny, dragon, snake, rooster. Well, there you had it. We were dealing with an enemy. Can't say I didn't expect it. In theory, the enemy would cut off at the pass now, as we'd find out their identity, but something felt unbelievable. I didn't think it likely. Still, it's not we could give up hope. Time to stick with the plan. I gave my mouse of hearts to Tiger. I prayed hoping that was the right move, and then the computer shut down. Classroom started making my way to the library. Time to check the carnage. In the library, everyone just started looking. I would protect the screen. Everybody's current scores were shown. Mouse 0. Tiger is 6. Dog has -1. Dog has -1. This means Snake was right. There's a traitor. Alright, everyone, keep calm and think. What could this mean? It means Dog has a Tiger card, right? I mean, my math hasn't been my strong suit, but if I understand the whole wheel thing, a Tiger card should be worth a -point to win. So clearly he has a Tiger card. How did that happen, though? I looked at him and he was... No one's disputing the fact that he was dead. Most likely, someone gave him the Tiger card. Well, what's the damn point of that? Isn't that dooming us all? Perhaps that is the point, or simply to sow discord. Well, maybe the situation can be salvaged, right? If I could get that card from Dog, it can't be done. Didn't you hear the rules? Last time around, if someone operated your tablet, you'd be executed. But this time, operating someone else's computer gets you executed. In other words, there's no way to access his computer. Then there's no way to force someone to give up a card. Well, it's not necessarily true, now is it, Rooster? Got an idea, don't you, buddy? Just because you'll be executed doesn't mean you can't do it, and if you're quick enough, you could make at least one move. We just need someone expendable to sacrifice themselves to the group. Coming out, when you've volunteered, surely there must be one among you who should die a martyr? Rooster, I don't know if that's enough. What's more important is the investigation results. Everyone who checked, somebody fine. Did anyone have more cards than should have? Ox looked around and we met a wave of shaking hands. What? Surely one of you saw something. Unfortunately, Ox, these results appear to indicate the check gives you the number of cards the person you looked at the end of the turn, meaning somebody could have handed the Tiger card to Dog and we'd be none the wiser. It appeared the search was fruitless. Well then, first things first, a Tiger win is off the table. Tiger, you must try and unload those points. Give your most valuable cards to people with the least amount of points from them. The rest of us will, I don't know, keep checking the amount the other characters has. I need to think. With an absent look, Ox wandered off, and then the group began to scatter, but now we were directionless. We didn't have a plan. People were beginning to panic. Panic was going to spread, and that was Cat's true goal, wasn't it? Still, something about the results seemed wrong to me. I should try pacing. That always helped me focus. I walked around the whole area, focused results, what was wrong with them, what was rubbing me the wrong way. Despite concentrating quite a bit, I couldn't come up with it. I decided to look for Ox. Here's a good person to bounce ideas off of. After a bit of a search, I found Ox in the classroom on the 2nd floor. So, have you thought enough? I doubt I'll be able to think through given a few hours, much less a few minutes. Basically, the issue I keep running into is the fact we don't know who the traitor is. It also looks like the traitor intends to sink us, no matter the cost. If you factor in the fact Snake's theory about the cat's relaying move to the traitor, combined with the fact the cat is specifically sending us the cards needed to mess with us, the possibility of a no-winner situation is a lot more likely than I care to admit. Best course of action may be solely on checking each other. This will make it incredibly difficult for the traitor to do much of anything. As the round goes on, there'll be more and more cards at the communal table. Eventually, they're only adding 2 cards at a time. We'll regroup and try and come up with a better plan. I think it's a reasonable idea. I think so too, but I don't particularly feel great about it. Yeah, I can see that. Say, do you think... To be honest, I don't quite know what I was planning on asking Ox. I thought a train of thought was interrupted when... A scream of a woman. It came from the nearby classroom. Immediately, Ox and I tried to... We saw Bunny and Monkey running out of a nearby library. We didn't have time to talk. We made our way with the noise. It's where Dog's bloated body lay. Ox shoved the door, but it only made inch progress. Then Bunny moved Ox and began to shove. With Bunny's efforts, it cracked open. It appeared the door blocked up with the bookshelf I'd seen in the room earlier. Once there's enough room, Bunny made it as the rest of us. We saw it was pitch black. No lights off, pitch black. I felt a body crushing on mine. I fell to the floor, surprisingly landed on my rear. By the commotion, it sounded like I wasn't the only person knocked into. In this commotion, we heard the door shut. What the? Just so I could get my feet, the lights turned on. It appeared Ox found the light switch. Once on, Bunny ran it over. He tried to open, but struggled. Damn, someone's holding it shut. His determination to open the door was understandable. Fled the room, but it struck me as odd. After all, in the other corner of the room, Pig was lying dead in a chair by the computer. Her neck was by some sort of bladed instrument. Blood is all over. Pig, no! How on earth? I was struggling to get my feet. Once again, someone who lied about half an hour ago lay dead before my eyes. Not just dead, murdered. Finally, Bunny pried the door open. He made his way outside. Bunny knocks on me and followed him. However, outside the room, there was nobody seen. Moments later, Tiger came running from the staircase. I heard commotion. What's on? Right after that, Sheep ran in from the right staircase. I thought I heard less shouting. More along, everyone's gathered in the classroom. The gathering process gave me plenty of time to digest Pig's death, and it wasn't sitting right with me. It felt cold, like a stone sitting in the bottom of my stomach. She didn't deserve this at all. And yet she died, just like anyone thought she died, murdered by somebody. Likely somebody in the school. I hated this. No, focus, flip the switch, let go of the fear. I shouldn't be scared. I should be angry. I should be livid. I should be determined to find the culprit. So, tell me if I'm getting this wrong, Mouse, Ox, Bunny, and you, Monkey. You all heard Pig scream out, probably from the whole being murdered thing. You run over the scene, try to get in, but the criminal's knocked over a bookcase to buy time. But still, you make your way in, determined to catch him. Unfortunately, it's too dark. In all this darkness, the killer makes their escape, kill a lot of you. That appears to be the case, yes. It's so frustrating. We had him, and yet in the darkness and chaos, someone got away. I don't deserve to call myself a cop. It doesn't say like being a cop's some damn badge of honor. I must ask, what was Pig doing here? By the looks of things, she was sitting down on the computer. But I should know this is Dog's computer, and the murder didn't even happen when the computer should have been usable. No. I think I know what happened to her. You do? Pig said she was going to try and hack one of these computers to help us all. I encouraged her, and there she is. It's my fault. Because of me, she went and did something stupid. Mouse, calm down. Remember to breathe. Listen to me. This is not your fault. The only person at fault is the only person possibly at fault is the killer, not you. But if Pig was doing something that might expose the mastermind, does that mean the person Pig killed was the mastermind? I don't think that's possible. There are too many people in the school walking around. If they went inside, chances are someone would stumble across them is very high. I don't think I'm taking a risk. So Pig's killer has to be one of us? But then why would any of us do it? We already discussed the possibility of a traitor, right? If Pig attempted something Mastermind did not like, it's reasonable to assume that a traitor may act on their behalf. No one knew what to say to that. It's truly tragic. If only I had known what Pig was doing when I tried to enter it, I wouldn't have left so early. Came by here earlier? Yes, unfortunately the door was locked then. Oh, you mean blocked by the bookshelf? No, I mean it was actually locked. I can tell the difference. Oh. After discovering that it was locked, I left the area. Eventually I ran into Bunny, who was interviewing Rooster in the classroom on the first floor. I can confirm that. Inspired by Mouse, I've been trying to get people's statements of various things, see if that'll help us sort anything else. After Snake, I finished my interview with Rooster. I wandered for a bit until I found Monkey reading a book in the library. Indeed, Bunny did catch me reading the library. The two of us had an interesting chat from there until we were interrupted by... Monkey didn't feel like saying anything beyond that. We could fill in the gaps ourselves. So you know what this means? It means it wasn't me. After all, I was always with someone the entire round. Thus I'm cleared. Trust me, Rooster. Nobody thought you were behind this. Hey, now what's that supposed to mean? Are we done here? So I want to leave. I've no desire to be in the room with the murderer. Or a dead body. Yeah, this place stinks. And like that, one by one, everyone funneled out of the room, until eventually it was just Ox and I. So it appears the group's not even going to attempt to solve this case. But expect, they're not a crime-solving team. They're a bunch of scared strangers who have a high possibility of dying soon. I suppose you're right. But the only way to certainly put an end to this is to stop the traitor. Ox, who do you even think the traitor is? What are they even getting at it? It could be any number of things. Perhaps the traitor being blackmailed. Maybe they're doing it for money. Maybe they're in league with our captor. Although in that last scenario, it'd also try and figure out our captor's motive. Also have to try find our captor's motive. Another rather significant mystery. You're right. Last time it sucked, but I could at least get the Jade Emperor. What the Jade Emperor is going for is clearly an act of revenge, as well as a really roundabout way of testing our character. But this... It's as though it's being done for... I don't know how else to see it, other than it being done for fun. Some twisted psycho's version of fun? You're not incorrect. Still, it's a waste of time to try and solve big picture things. Instead, let's do what we can here. What we can, seems about right. Pig, I didn't even know you super well, but you seem decent. At the least, I'm convinced you risked your life trying to save us all. It might not have worked out, but I wouldn't let your death be in vain. Time to be investigating. You couldn't do an investigation without examining bodies. Disgusting as it was, I had to take a look. Sure enough, Pig's body was clapped on the seat, facing toward the computer. The computer had just the same waiting screen all the others did. If Pig had hacked the computer, it didn't show it. Her neck was still cut by a bladed object. She probably bled to death very quickly. Sitting in the desk next to the computer was a golden knife from Dog, covered in blood. So then, Pig was killed with a golden knife? One would assume. That seems weird to me. Why is that? Think about it. Where did they get the knife? From Dog's exploded body, I imagine? I mean, the explosion wasn't that big, mostly the stomach. See, look, the bottom half of his legs are mostly fine. Surely the culprit could have gotten the knife from his boot. Okay, first up, disgusting. Secondly, that's my point. Someone just grabs a knife from Dog's corpse and Pig happens to be hacking away. She might not have noticed if she was focused on hacking. But would she have kept hacking if anyone was in the room with her? I mean, we're on high alert. There was a traitor. It must have been someone Pig trusted. But it's Pig. Given the situation, do you think there's anyone she would trust? I suppose not. In my opinion, from the state of the crime, I think it's most likely that the culprit walked the room and attacked Pig without her even noticing. But that's why the weapon's messing with me. There's no way the killer could have collected without Pig noticing. So what are you saying? What does this mean? If Pig's neck was cut with something else, then after the fact the killer grabbed the golden knife from Dog's corpse and made it look like the murder weapon. Well, without a forensic team, it's impossible to disprove. But why make it look like the golden knife was the real weapon? What's the killer trying to hide? That I don't know. It's a confusing situation, but it meant something, right? I tucked the information back in mind and kept going. Remember, Dog said that there was a brother knife, there was a twin to that knife, which means whoever has it is the one with the other knife. Meaning it was someone that took... Yeah, Amadeus. Yeah, Chief Bowen and his brother both had golden knives. Amadeus gave it to one of his and one of us, and he was given the other by the chief. I started to look at the bookshelf that blocked our way earlier. It was still toppled, pushed away from the northern door opening. A bunch of books were piled next to it. With all these books, I noticed something. This is weird. What's weird? All the books are on the bookshelf. That happens when it's... Well, the books are out of the bookshelf. That tends to happen when it's shoved and pushed away, Mouse. No, I mean all of them. I get spillage, but surely there'd be some still on the bookshelf, but instead they're all on the floor around it. You're right, it's as though the books were thrown on the floor before the bookcase toppled. Why would anyone do that? Don't ask me. We're noting oddities. I found something else strange. Hit me with it. Look at all these marks on the floor. It seems the bookcase was pushed towards the eastern wall before even being toppled. If it was shoved down where it initially stood, it would have completely blocked off the doorway. Hell, it might have even hit the eastern wall. But this bookcase was shoved away from that wall, then toppled over. Huh. I can actually think of an explanation for that. Actually, as I said, if it was shoved where it was already standing, it could have impacted the eastern wall. If the bookcase was just leaning against the wall, it would have been a lot easier to shove out of the way. Maybe the culprit thought of that ahead of time, moving the bookshelf a bit before shoving it down. In fact, that might explain the books as well. With all the books out, it's a lot lighter, easier to move. In that case, the killer sure had the wits about them to notice the bookshelf was too close to the wall, then to empty the bookshelf just more, to move it slightly before moving it over. Was that reasonable? The windows definitely draw attention. The blinds were covering them, wasn't just that. They were taped down the wall, completely sealing all light. The duct tape used to do so was conspicuously on a student's desk, so the killer taped down the window blinds. I guess they really didn't want us seeing them, which makes sense, of course. But when did they have time to do this? I mean, there's two windows in the south wall, and they're both taped up. After killing Pig, did the killer really have time to do all that? It's not like we got it seen instantly. Plus, the door was blocked. That surely brought them time. So you're saying the murder went something like, killer attacks Pig, she cries on pain. Immediately, the killer runs to the bookshelf, topples it by time. Then they grab some duct tape and quickly tape the blinds. Finally, they turn off lights and wait, presumably right as we're getting in. That's what seems to suggest. Sure, but for a killer to immediately spring into action like that's unbelievable. Well, we're not dealing with an amateur, that for sure. Whoever the killer is, they're intelligent, determined, and dangerous. It's frightening to be sure. Sure is, Ox, it sure is. The door. I decided to give the actual door room a look. The doorway was right by the eastern wall. Snake mentioned the room was actually locked earlier. After looking at it, sure enough, from inside the room, the door handle had a turnable lock. Weird. Snake was telling the truth. Probably, but doesn't that bring a new set of problems? Why bother with knocking over the bookshelf if the door already had a lock on it? Perhaps the killer didn't know about the room's lock? In that case, how'd the killer get in the room in the first place? I mean, right? If Pig locked the room to hide her hacking, which, fair enough, how'd the killer get access? I don't know, Mouse. It is certainly odd. I kept looking at the door, looking for anything out of place, and that's when I saw it. Is this glue? Let me see. Ox moved in closer. Sure enough, there were traces of glue on the side of the door and inside the doorway. This actually makes a certain amount of sense. There's surely a lot of glue around the school. Must have been someone's very room. If the killer was manual holding the door so Bunny couldn't open it, they'd be by the scene of the crime when he finally got open. So instead, the killer must have glued the side of the door before fleeing to hold us off. Right. For once, something was adding up in the scene. Just to be sure, I kept inspecting the door, looking for anything out of place. Thus, it was a waste of time to notice something else. High up in the crack behind the door in the singes, I saw more traces of glue. Now, what would glue be doing up there? I suppose that would also be trying to keep the door locked, but certainly not someone would typically apply glue. Crack between the door and its hinges. I made sure to make a mental note of that. Well, I think that's everything here. I have to agree. Did you figure everything out? To be honest, I can't say that I did, but at the very least, I figured out something wasn't right. This is just exhausting. We don't have time to be exhausted, frankly. Sad but true. Why does this have to be so complicated? Well, let's try and keep these simple. Who could have messed with the tiger cards? Horse, tiger, sheep, and rooster monkey couldn't have grabbed that spare card. Which leaves you, me, dragon, bunny, and pig. So the killer has to be someone on that list? That would be my assumption. In that case, let's narrow things down. Pig's the victim, so she's out. You, me, and bunny are all accounted for when the murder occurred, which is out. Which leaves dragon. You think dragon's killer? That's what logic would dictate. I couldn't argue with Ox, but the idea of dragon was behind this felt wrong. We had in fact spent time locked up together at dogs. For her to be behind something like this, it didn't make sense. It didn't sit well in my stomach. I don't know, Axe. We might be making bad assumptions. We might be, which is why we'll confront her in private about this next round. For now, we should probably get going. The round's almost over. I think we've gotten all we can. Agreed. With that, we left the crime scene, made our way back to computers. On the way, we passed by the library, which had its doors shut. Hey, the doors of the library weren't completely shut like this before. Ox is right, they weren't. I don't like where this is going. Despite that, Emil walked over and opened them. Don't be a corpse, don't be a corpse. Oh, damn it. Lying down was the pitiful, gushing from his neck, the pitiful figure of Rooster. Damn it, this can't be. Another victim, seriously? How long could this go on? How long could this nightmare end? Another death, another... Hold on. He's not actually dead yet. You're right. Quickly, we need to stifle the bleeding. Spur into action, I rushed to Rooster's body. I looked around for something to use in the cell box. It wasn't a deal, but it had to do. I immediately took tissues by the dozen and began putting them on Rooster's neck, trying to do something to stop the blood from completely leaking. Ox ran by me with a tape dispenser. Taped the tissues I was pressing against Rooster. Used a copious amount of tape to the point where it probably stopped mattering. After that, what did we do? I don't know if there's anything else we can do. It's not like there's serious medical supplies running with experience. Hopefully, with this, he might not completely die before we get around. Although even that's optimistic. Once again, I couldn't feel the weight of my heart. Even after trying to save him, Rooster would quit. At times precious. Instead of moping, I looked around the scene. It looked like Rooster had been stabbed twice in rapid succession in the left side of his neck. A bloody pen lay a few feet from him. It must have been Wolf from Sekiro. I must have been on... No, wait, he stabs people on the right side of the neck. Okay. It's okay. Wolf is completely free of suspicion. That must have been the makeshift weapon. The whole thing looked spur-of-the-moment conflict. Rooster collapsed right next to the desk. I took a few steps and looked around. A few feet. A massive dictionary was on the ground. I walked over and picked it up. It had quite a bit of weight to it. Mouse, what are you doing? Investigating. Are you? Yeah, I am. Are you? That's... Ox, a murder happened on our noses. We were in the room just there, and yet somebody ends up dead close by, and this time there isn't a clear motive. If we don't do something soon, we're all gonna die. Correction. People's lives are on the line, which is why I'm asking why you're picking up a damn book when a man's bleeding to death right there. It's not a book, it's a clue. Before we could argue, the 2-minute warning sounded. Looks like we don't have time to discuss anymore. Looks like it. Let's quickly handle that and get it back here. Agreed. Like that, the two of us ran down the stairs. I was making my way to the classroom. I noticed something way Ox had noticed. I just sworn the restroom door wasn't closed all the way. I paused for my jog as I looked in. Immediately, I knew I wanted to check. If the restroom was used, it would be for one reason. Sure enough, because the trace of blood washed away. I didn't have time to register. I needed to get back to my classroom. The mirror turned on right away when I entered. I already knew it was just check pig. However, as I moved my cursor, I did it once over the community table. Mouse of clubs, ox, tiger clubs, bunny clubs, dragon clubs, snake, rooster, diamonds, rooster spades, monkey hearts, monkey clubs, monkey diamonds. Wait, what? Before I could even double check, my hand had already pressed the button to check pig. My screen paused for a moment, displayed 0 cards. I thought it was left with emptiness. No, not emptiness, room. A single piece of evidence may only be a spark, but if you make a spark in a room of gunpowder, you can really light it up. I remember my conversation with my dad. I asked him how he built defense to a client. It's a lot like playing dominoes. Dominoes? Yes, dominoes, but I can play dominoes. Well, then you might make a good defense lawyer one day. You see, first you have to have the evidence discovery period. That's where you learn all the facts of the case. You collect testimonies, evidence, experts' opinions, even piece of information. Each one's a domino placed. You don't really see it at first, but there are a bunch of dominoes, and at some point you'll find a domino that wobbles. Something that doesn't make sense. You let that domino fall, it's gonna knock over another. One might knock over 2 more, and after you've done your job right, collect all the information you needed, and if your client really was innocent, you'll end up knocking over all of them in one fell swoop. I don't really get it. Maybe a bit too metaphorical. Basically, I don't actually do a lot of work. That's not true, you work all the time. It's true, I collect a lot of evidence, find a lot of laws of sight. In terms of mounting a defense, I actually don't do that much work. I just keep an open and keen mind, and eventually the prosecution's case won't fit together. Once I think about what the contradiction means, it will naturally lead to another thing that doesn't make sense, and so on. I found the truth as a way of getting out, like it or not. The only question is whether or not you're going to be receptive to the calls of that truth. That's right. I need to be receptive to the truth. I had to collect so much information throughout all this, so many dominoes. It's impossible for so many things to happen without a pattern. It's simple. First, I need to look at the parts that don't make sense. Then I need to make them make sense. In order to make them make sense, I need to come sort of answer. And if the answer to other things makes other things not make sense, I need to repeat the process until all the dominoes follow down. The rules of the Zodiac race. Consider more. Hit this button to help advance Mouse's reasoning. If you're stuck, it's okay to ask for a hint. Once you get a hint, try pondering a bit before asking for another. The timetable. The evidence. Pig expressed interest in hacking a computer to find out who the mastermind is or to contact help. When Snake checked the crime scene, the door was locked. Snake then went down the room with Bunny and Rooster. When Snake went down, Bunny left. Snake stayed with Rooster. Soon after Bunny left, he joined up with Monkey in the library. After some time, I joined up with Ox in the classroom. Everyone's whereabouts are unconfirmed. Nobody else has an alibi. At some point, I heard a female scream. The door led there was blocked by the bookshelf, and Bunny moved out of the way. In the dark room, somebody knocked me over. It's possible other people were knocked out of the way as well. When Bunny tried to leave the room, I was stuck. Pig's body was lying in front of a computer. Dog's golden knife was covered. Theoretically, it was taken from the leg of Dog's bloated corpse. The blinds were taped over the room as well. The books were taken out of the bookshelf and shoved over. The bookshelf moved slightly before the front of the door. The door has a thumb lock. There are traces of glue on the side of the door, as well as hinges between there. Rooster's still alive. The left side of Rooster's neck was stabbed twice with a pen. A heavy book was lying on the floor nearby. Ox was with me the entire time since Rooster was last seen alive. Someone washed off the blood in the first floor bathroom. The rules of the Zodiac race. Attention, attention, all animals present. Please take a seat, face the TV, and put on your animal masks. The introduction about to begin. Introduction. Guess what's so meant when they said the Jade Emperor will appear. It's just projection figures. What, are you serious? It's a load of bullshit. Come now. At this point, you might as well just go along with it and hear what they have to say. Why they want us to put on an animal mask, though? Who cares? Just do it. Agreed. After a big commotion, everyone complied. We all sat in various seats around the cafeteria to put our animal masks over our heads. Once everyone has done so, the television flickered on. There before us was the Jade Emperor, leaning back in the chair. I couldn't tell where he was sitting. The room behind him was too dark. However, it seemed like it was a live feed, but it may not have been. The Jade Emperor wore a mask that completely covered his face, as well as a green hoodie, jeans, and gloves. Yeah, the fact it completely covers his face means he could have already been dead at this time. I couldn't help but notice his left hand. I could see a purple butterfly tattoo. You all, if you have not realized, will be the 12 Zodiac animals that complete my race. I might ask why you are animals. There's no good reason for this. Go about day to day without a care in the world, peacefully moving onwards, never stopping to reflect or apologize for your sins or murder. Sins? Oh, don't you pretend you don't know, you glory-hungry liar. That does seem a bit... I was wondering about that. I mean, I thought maybe it was supposed to be the hidden sin, but we found out Tiger's hidden sin. It's that she stopped her mom's assault on her, but then turned on the offensive, hence why it's technically a murder. But we also know she's... Well, she is an Olympian, and she doesn't really brag about it or anything. You see, perhaps not all of you know, but all 12 of you were a jury of a particular trial. Of course, you were the actual jury. Don't blame them, but it means each of you made selfish, stupid choices. Each of you are complicit, and each of you determined to hang an innocent man for murder he did not commit. And this idea you all have, they're just gonna walk away. It's sickening. It's not fair. Life is simply unfair. You all deserve a chance to be punished. Like the snail, you must all be tried. So this is what we're doing today. A Zodiac Trial. Trial, do you mean we're gonna make a case against us? Perhaps my choice might have given off the wrong impression. Initially, I had an idea similar to that. A case against us. I guess you could have the Jade Emperor. This could have been a pre-recorded message, and someone would have marked something interesting because he intentionally worded it as a trial, which makes it think, oh, is this gonna be like that Star Trek episode where humanity was put on trial? Well, Star Trek Next Generation, technically. I'm not that big a Star Trek fan, but I at least know a decent bit about it. Do enjoy a decent amount of episodes, that's for sure. Initially, I had an idea more similar to that, however. Instead, we'd settle with a race fitting for the beasts you are. What are the rules for this race? Finally, someone is asking the proper questions. I guess, to be fair, he does never address anyone by name. Which is... I just initially dismissed the idea that this could be pre-recorded by the fact he's responding, but now that I look through it again, he is explicitly not giving any names. Please take a look at the display. As you can see, your 12 animals are lined up on the left. From the top and bottom, or they come in the calendar. You may also notice there are 24 spaces. The name of this race will be used tablets. So that's what these are for. Before continuing, it'd be pertinent to address a certain rule you'll likely find important. Each tablet must only be operated by its owner. Additionally, the owner must be alone in the room. If you operate your tablet with another person in the room, who also operates a tablet, it'll be instantly executed. Executed? Damn. Dismaying, but expect an announcement. Asshole, I think it can be easy. Oh, but I can. Oh yeah, this is a direct response, though. Then again, I guess that could reasonably be a response to anyone saying, could he really kill us that easily? Or someone saying, he can't kill us that easily. Oh, but I can. Let me push a button. How does it feel? Knowing like that you could be executed dead. Feel fun? Is enjoyable for you to come? So we're gonna die? No, only push that button if you break the rules, right? There's a bit more to it than that. You're right that I won't... Now, this seems a bit more direct, because this seems like a bit more of a direct response. Because it says there's a bit more to it than that, but you're right that I won't kill you for no reason. Because this is Horse specifically saying that. There'd be no point to any of this if I was just a senseless murderer. No, I guarantee that if you all behave appropriately, every single one of you can leave alive. And what does that entail? The race will consist of 12 rounds. If no animals are able to get to the end, you'll all be executed, and every round will be 45 minutes. All participants must take action within those 45. If they do not take an action, they'll be executed. At the end of the round, animals take their action in order from top to bottom. Using the tablet, there are a few available actions. Alright, yeah, this is the rules here. What is the ranking judged on? Are you looking at most surprising, worst thing done, most emotionally delivered? I'm under no obligation to tell you that. This is okay, and this is a much more generic response. He could have said, and it would make sense to ask for someone to ask what confession is, since that's a very vague thing. Especially since he doesn't ask for exactly what he's looking for in a confession. Try it out for yourself if you're so curious. This is about the item rules, repeating the item rules. Childish game. What childish game to stake our lives on? It really makes you all seem small in comparison, doesn't it? This is an interesting response. It doesn't really seem too much like it's a direct response to this what childish game. Makes you all seem small in comparison, doesn't it? Perhaps he was expecting someone to say this is all just so overwhelming. Where's that the essence? At the end of the round, after the race ends. No, seriously? How you choose to run the race, up to you. Brian, I gotta ask you something. Brian? What are you talking about? Brian, buddy, where is he? Where's who? You told me I'd be seeing my old pal Ollie here, but I'm not seeing him right now. What's up with that? Unceremoniously, television cut off. First, Horse entered Bowen's office, then Sheep got to her desk. Horse went down the stairs, then Tiger entered, was shown the right guest room, and then Snake entered. Left his statue in the lobby and was shown to the guest room. Note, Snake claims to have monitored events through the door's window the entire time. Next, Sheep moved the large statue into the storage room. Then Rooster entered, was shown the right guest room. Rooster got sick, made his way into the restroom. Sheep went to the first floor to eat some breakfast. Note, this is the earliest Brian could have been killed. Next, Rooster returned from the restroom to the right guest room. Then Sheep returned to our desk. Then Morris came in and entered Bowen's office. Then Morris left Bowen's office. Snake received a text asking him to transport statue to the storage. If Morris was in the safe the entire time, it's possible they could have shoved him in there while he was alive and he died while inside. Snake complied, and now this is where latest the Bowen could have possibly been killed. Then Snake left. Then Rooster entered Bowen's office. Then Sheep entered Bowen's office. Yeah, actually that would explain it. If Bowen died the entire if Bowen was shoved in the safe while alive, well no, because his cell phone was in there for the entire time. And obviously if he was stuck in there with a cell phone, either he couldn't move or he would have tried to use it to escape somehow. Then Bunny was close by under the building. Bunny found Bowen dead in the safe. Slabs outside the windows of the guest rooms in Bowen's office may allow for risky movement. The slab outside the storage room is broken, though, so exiting through this window, moving from one guest room to another outside, would have been impossible except for anyone except Tiger and Horse. No, the windows were all discovered to be locked when Bunny checked the premises. Questions around the Zodiac race. Why are certain people more culpable for the incident not abducted? Why were Dragon and I? Why were there two phones that were used to control the game? Why did Brian decide to do this in the first place? Why did Brian seem to know about the connection between Dog and Oliver Bowen? Why did the Jade Emperor... Oh, right, when he said Ollie, it was supposed to be Oliver. Why did the Jade Emperor react strangely to Dog's questioning? Why did the Jade Emperor attempt to incite a fight between Dragon and Snake? If they planned to use that fight as a cover to execute the two, why didn't they? Why was I lured out to the building Brian was inside and rigged with an explosion? Why did Brian decide to die in the explosion? Where is Amadeus Bowen's golden knife? If somebody has it, why is there no evidence of the blackmail material ever being used? Rounds of the Zodiac bid. Following cards on the community table in the first round. Yeah, just enough to make sure to screw over. And the cat indeed never stated it was done randomly, so she was perfectly able to do it in a way that would screw us over. Claim to take. Snake, who didn't have a card. Claim to check Snake, who didn't have a card at the end of the round. Falling cards with meal table at the start of the second round. I gave the Mouse of Hearts to Tiger. Ox claimed to give Ox of Hearts to Tiger. Tiger claimed to check Ox, who reportedly had no cards at the end of the round. He had to have given the Ox of Hearts to Tiger then because that Tiger backs him up. Bunny decided to claim to give Bunny of Hearts to Tiger. Dragon claimed to give Dragon of Hearts to Tiger. Snake claimed to check Dragon, who reportedly had no cards at the end of the round. So Dragon wasn't lying about that. Horse claimed to check Bunny, who reportedly had no cards at the end of the round. Sheep claimed to check Dog, who reportedly had one card at the end of the round. Rooster claimed to check Mouse, reported had no cards at the end of the round. Monkey checked Pig, reported had no cards. It's actually unclear what Pig did this round. Nobody thought to check. Whoops. At the end of the round, 2 people had the following scores. So someone gave Dog a point, and someone following cards with the community table 3rd round. Is there more? The important thing to note is the presence of Tiger of Clubs. Since appearing at the start of round 3, someone placed it down at the start of round 2. But consider the scoreboard, how is this possible? The only thing that can explain the scoreboard is somebody gave Dog a Tiger card in round 2, but somebody also placed a Tiger card down in round 2. That's too many actions, too many cards for one person alone, but more than one person, how do I narrow things down from there? Of course, thinking about it, there's only 2 ways for cards to be in play. People who claim to have ripped up a Tiger card should be suspicious. Specifically, those who claim to take the same card as someone else, but 2 people being involved. Why does that sound familiar? I took the Mouse of Hearts. Ox Tame claimed Ox of Hearts. Bunny of Hearts. Dragon Hearts. Snake took the Tiger of Diamonds. Horse. Alright, so Snake, Horse, Sheep, and Rooster. Monkey. Alright, so we have to talk about people in pairs. Spades. Communal table. Tiger of Clubs. Yeah, someone had to have been lying. But who? Alright. So it's dragon and horse. Snake and sheep. Monkey and rooster. Snake didn't have any cards at the end of the round, so we can probably cross off... So Snake and Sheep. So we can cross Snake and Sheep off the list. So it's either Dragon and Horse, or Rooster and Monkey. And unfortunately, I'm leaning a bit towards Monkey. Let's see how this is here. But then why would Rooster be injured? Dragon, who reportedly had no cards at the end of the round. However, this is checked at the end of the round, meaning after everyone makes their action. So Dragon could have had the card at the end of the last... Dragon Horse could have had cards at the end of this round, but not this one. Horse claimed to check Bunny, who repeatedly had no cards in the round. Sheep claimed to check Dog, who reportedly had 1 card at the end of the round. Who is correct, because he had to have been given a card. Because any cards given to Dog are effectively dead cards, no one can receive them anymore. Rooster claimed to check Mouse, who reportedly had no cards at the end of the round. Technically speaking, they should know that the trader could easily lie about who was checking to know, because they'd already know who doesn't have a card at the end of the round. Monkey claimed to check Pig, who reportedly had no cards at the end of the round. It's actually unclear what Pig did this round, which means we cannot back up Monkey. We cannot confirm Monkey. That reminds me, let's check the rounds of the Zodiac bit. The rules of the Zodiac bid. Very important announcement's about to begin. Anyone who disrupts shall be punished. Oh, dear friends. Glad to see you all back together again. I'm sure you missed each other, and I'm sure you missed the thrill of the race. I know you previously met the Jade Emperor. He put you on trial and you passed his gauntlet fine enough. Then are you all free to rejoin the world? I think not. I think he was too kind, my fellow sinners, so falls to me, the cat, to truly put you to the test. Okay, that's enough. I can't do this whole thing again. Whoever's behind this, stop behind the masks. All of a sudden, Monkey winced in pain. That's, my friends, what you call a warning. The next person to interrupt my explanation will be silenced in a much more permanent manner. Okay. And we have to remember, it could entirely be that Monkey... Yeah. It could entirely be that Monkey was, simply doing that to cast suspicion off herself. Then again, it's entirely possible Jade Emperor was not only took himself out during the race rather than at the end of it, because there's a lot of things that could have been planned for, especially since we know that someone planned to make sure the race would go the exact way it did, and they were explicitly to control who they wanted to die would die. No need to slow things down. You already know the device strapped in your stomach cannot be removed. You already know it can be used to execute you. Now, this is what I need to look at here. Someone who has 0 points, because the Tiger's cards would have been 0 points. So let me look at this. Alright, we need to figure this out. Alright, who was across from us? I wish I could go back there and check that timetable. That table, because that would have been really useful here for remembering. Tiger and Dog were worth 1 point. If I could remember, I could check. Alright, so Tiger and Dog, we need to find someone slightly too far to the side of... Because we need someone for whom the Tiger points be worth 0 points, because that draws no attention on the scale. Bunny and Rooster would be worth nothing. Dragon the Monkey will be worth -1 point. Stints the Zodiac Wheel. Alright. I should have gone back to check this. You know, I'm gonna just, There were 2 burner phones controlled, weren't there? That means a pair of people behind that. Bizarre events suggest Brian wasn't the true mastermind, but it should be possible for someone to be the Jade Emperor. Nor should it be possible for someone in our group to be the cat. Why do I think that? Jade Emperor talked to us, the cat talked to us, so it has to be a third party in both cases. Hold on. Something weird about my memories, that person. It's the opposite, but at the same time, right? So then... No, hold on. If that's the case, I'd explain their partner's movement. In fact, there's a lot strange. There's pretty distinct differences in this game and the last. Brian the mastermind and their partner. These are the 3 motivations disguised as one intent. So what's the partner's connection to all this? It has to tie back and things start all. That is the murder of Amadeus Bowen. With everyone's testimonies and the state of the windows, it's true that no one but Aaron walked into Amadeus' Bowen that day. So then, what if Amadeus wasn't killed in his office? If he wasn't killed in his office, how does his body end up there? Of course, Snake's statue. It's described as hollow, right? Given setup, it's possible it was used to transport the body. So then the killer had to be someone who entered the room after the body was moved up to the scene. That means... I found the person with motive, I found the partner, and it's true, the partner matches my suspect. The true culprit has to be that person. How they do it? The evidence points towards a big murder happening right when my suspect has an alibi. No, I shouldn't doubt myself. What makes me think the murder happened then? The timetable. Tiger entered, was shown in the right guest room. Snake entered. Snake claims to have monitored. Sheep moved to the statue with the storage room. Then Rooster entered, was shown to the right guest room. He got sick, made his way to the restroom. She made way to the first floor. This is the earliest in which she could have been killed. Next, Rooster returned from the restroom to the right guest room. Then she returned to her desk. Then Morris came and entered Bowen's office. Morris left. Then Snake received a text asking him to transfer his statue from the storage room to Bowen's office. Snake complied. This is the latest Bowen could have been killed. Then Snake left. He could have been killed. Oh, it was Tiger and Snake. Because, yeah, well, she could have gotten in. Well, yeah, she could have gotten inside, but she could have only gotten out if it was someone like Horse or Tiger. Sheep realized Bowen was missing, called the police. Then Bunny entered close by. Then Bunny found Bowen dead and safe. So I saw the windows of guest rooms in Bowen's office may have allowed risky movement. The slab outside the storage room was broken, meaning this window would be impossible for Tiger or Horse. The windows were all discovered to be locked when Bunny checked the premises. It's that damn scream that's throwing a wrench in the works. Wait, who says the scream was live? Pig's body was by a computer. Culprits would think there could have been an exit out of the program. It would have been simple to move the play a screaming recording after a certain amount of time. So what's all the evidence of the killer being inside the room when is any of that concrete? No, there's nothing that says the killer was in the room when we heard the scream. Until we heard the scream. In fact, there's evidence contrary, so then there's nothing to do to move forward. Its point was behind everything. True villain is as painful as that confrontation must be. Warning, beyond this point, the hints will start to give actual answers. Proceed at your own risk. Alright. I think I understand now. I had it. In the real time, it had barely been a minute, and yet, the speed of dominoes falling over, everything clicked. I was able to figure it all out. Alright. I do appreciate them giving that in case you genuinely can't figure it out, but I think I might have an idea of this. Back in my brain, I already had most of the pieces. I just need to put them together, and I had. I walked down and saw Ox in the hall. Hey, Ox, gather everyone, bring this classroom. Why? I thought we were going to deal with Dragon. Just do it. I'm settling things here and now. If you say so. Ox didn't look particularly enthused, but he complied and left to gather the evidence. He'll see soon enough. For now, I need to gather the details straight in my head. The presentation was critical. If I messed up even a bit, I'd lose momentum. That's the one thing I couldn't lose. Soon enough, everyone gathered. They had also heard about Rooster. Here they are, Mouse. Mouse, what are you doing? Tiger looked bewildered. Mouse, not to bump elbows, but are you sure gathering everyone in the spot's a good idea? Bunny, on the other hand, was incredibly nervous. We finally got settled. Thanks. For some reason, Dragon was holding a metal baseball bat she must have found somewhere. Seems like it'll prove quite entertaining. A slight smile crept on Snake's face. Have you figured something out? Was that a hopeful look in Sheep's eyes? I don't have time for games. Horse never failed to intimidate with his large presence. We're all ears, Mouse. Say what you need to. Monkey looked calm, maintaining eye contact. Okay, Monkey, I will. I took a deep breath and then turned to face away from everybody. I'll be honest, I'm sick of this. Mastermind, traitors, mysteries, treachery. I think I've generally had enough deception for a lifetime. Let's get rid of that, shall we? Right now I'm going to make all the mysteries within the past few weeks clear, one by one. Starting with the identity of who killed Pig and Rooster. The person's not a mysterious third party, nor a resurrected dog. It's someone in this very room. I don't think Snake's lying. Let me finish. The room stayed silent, still in control. Don't know the reason to kill those two? It's simple. Is that the traitor? They did because the game's traitor. In other words, League the Cat. Mastermind. And also know the Mastermind's identity. Oliver Bowen, the person who's imprisoned police chief officer. Oh, Bowen, I realize it's a weighty claim, but to understand everything, you need to understand where all this started. You need to understand the truth of Amadeus Bowen's more. There's something we're missing about. Somebody we've been missing. Who's missing? The reason this incident was so confusing was the assumption there was a single malicious party involved in Bowen's murder. In truth, other than Aaron Morris, there was an entirely separate person involved with the instrument with their own agenda. One Mr. X. Who is this? Well, I'll tell you. Somebody in this very room. Now, I'll explain how it all fits together. The room was oddly silent. While they were stunned, I turned around and found the room was empty. What? Where'd you all go? I messed up, yeah. I thought maybe I was onto something because Tiger was mentioned to have a gun at some point, which was strange. But I guess or one's laying over there. But then, I guess I just keep thinking of the Mouse betrayed her timeline, because Tiger mysteriously had a gun there when you'd think she's the last person who'd need one. One of the last people anyways, but I guess even Horst didn't hesitate to use firearms when necessary, even though he clearly is definitely the least in need of them. Let me finish. For good reason. Understandable reason. That reason. I just saved the entire group. I realized the weighty claim, understanding it well started. Aaron Morris may have killed, but it makes sense he needed assistance. A real killer. Aaron Morris didn't kill him. No, the culprit was one. Mr. X, I suppose. I'll tell you. I'll be this very room. Yeah, it seems the one who killed... Before giving myself the answer, spoiling myself with the answer, I'm going to go with some deductions here. I don't mind if I embarrass myself by picking the wrong thing several times in a row. The evidence involved with Pig and Rooster's murder. Pig expects to hack a computer who the mastermind is, or the contact help. When the Snake checked the room, the door was locked. Snake then went down the room with Bunny and Rooster. When Snake went down, Bunny left. Snake stayed with Rooster. Bunny left. Snake stayed with Rooster. After Bunny left, he joined up with Monkey in the library. Yeah. After some time, he joined up with Ox class from the second floor. Everyone's whereabouts were unconfirmed. Nobody else has an alibi. Taking the leg of a dog's exploded corpse in the center of the room. Blinds are taped over the windows with duct tape from inside the room, and the books were taken out of the bookshelf. Bookshelf was shoved over. Slightly to the east before being knocked over in the door. Door had a thumb block inside the room. A trace of glue inside as high up the crack between the door and the doorway close to the hinges. Rooster is still alive. On the left side, who stepped towards the pen. A heavy book was laying on the floor nearby. Well, yeah, Mouse seemed obsessed with the importance of that book, but Rooster wasn't hit by the book. He was stabbed with a pen. Let me finish. Why the person killed the two? It's simple. They did it because of the... No, it was Sheep was cleared. Weighty claim. Alright, so it has to be either Snake and Tiger or Rooster and Monkey. Real killer. Alan Morris didn't kill him. No, the culprit was one. I suppose. Who is this? I'll tell you. I know this for a fact this is the real killer, because we know it wasn't Amadeus Bowen. Because Amadeus Bowen was not killed by Morris. Or is in league with the cat, the mastermind. I also know the mastermind's identity. Yeah, I'm picking the wrong person here. Oh yeah, Rooster's not an option here. Save themselves. That's right, they're the person behind this Zodiac bid. They're the cat. You know what else? I think I'm getting the initial killer wrong. Finish. My dragon's too obvious. I don't think it's her. For all his flaws, I don't think it's Bunny or Ox. It can't be Rooster, which means... Yeah, it was lowered down to either... be two people together. And snare the real villain. Sure. Alright. Noah, we're also going to have to go through this from the very beginning. Snake was the one that outright offered us the information there had to be people other than Brian were involved with this. That doesn't necessarily mean he's innocent, mind you. What? And he also supposedly had opportunity, but maybe not so. So if the body was held in the statue, it's probably possibly died on his own and it was later moved. Alright, so the person who committed these murders may not necessarily be the same person who got Bowen, but it could very well these whole games were simply to catch the person behind it all. They specifically wanted... We have to remember who they want to target. Aside from us, Mouse, they specifically wanted to be sure Dragon and Snake died in the outcome no matter what. And Dog had to sacrifice himself in order to make sure they lived. Also, I think this one's going to be the rough one. Because I'm starting to get a picture of how the actual murder could have been performed. Because it seems odd that the statue's put in the storage room and then nothing happened from there. Someone Tiger could have easily gone in there and taken the murder, or Snake could have hidden him inside there the whole time. But I doubt Snake because, well, it could have been and the intent was to get him. Whoever it was the person who had the other one. The Amadeus bow and knife. So let me finish. The room stayed silent, out of control. You know why this person killed us too? It's simple. That's right, they're the person behind this very game. They're the cat. And you know what else? They're also the mastermind of the Zodiac raid. They're the capture the true mastermind of the whole incident. This whole game was a trap to ensnare the real villain. Or else the way he claimed. You also need to understand. You understand something we're missing about it. Something we're missing. The real killer. Who is Mr. X? Somebody in this room. The reason this instance was confusing is the assumption there's a single party involved in Bowen's murder. Other than Aaron there's an entirely separate person with their own agenda. Yeah, Monkey mentioned that Brian had known more and more about his father's murder, the truth about what had gone on. Someone had been getting information, but who? That had to be fake. See? I don't think Dragon's involved with anything here. But then again, we know she's involved, has to be involved in the incident. Right, that's how we know. Because she was in the bar at the time the event happened. Somebody grabbed her just on the off chance that she saw something that could potentially get them off. So she's not involved here. Monkey, it might be possible. Horse, I don't think Mouse would be nearly as bothered to have to reveal. Well, I guess she'd find it hard to reveal anyone here. That's... Yeah, I said he had to be brutal in his case, or else someone would replace him. He didn't really... I don't think Ox is behind this, because it was even noted that his career took a nosedive after he got back, because the police chief didn't want him to be involved out of fear that maybe he figured out something too dangerous. Let's think about this. Last deduction. I am going to cross Dragon off the list 100%. It can't possibly be her. Likewise, I'm going to cross off Ox for absolutely sure. Tiger is one of the ones that would be most painful, but she was one of the few who would be fully capable of it, because if he was in this, he could have been murdered and put in the statue, and no one would have been the wiser. Let's go back to Timetable here. Timetable. First, Horse entered Bowen's office, then Sheep got to her desk. Horse went down the stairs. Then Tiger entered. This was shown to the right guest room. Then Snake entered, left a statue in the lobby, and was shown the left guest room. Now, Snake claims to have monitored events at the door's window the entire time. Next, Sheep moved the statue to the storage room. Then Rooster had entered and shown the right guest room. Then Rooster got sick and made his way to the restroom. Sheep went down the floor to eat some breakfast. This is the earliest point Bowen could have been killed. And we know that he must have either already been in the statue or... No. Rooster returned to the restroom to the right guest room, then Sheep returned to her desk. Morris came and entered Bowen's office. Morris left Bowen's office. Then Snake received a text asking him to transport his statue from the storage to Bowen's office. Snake complied. This is the latest Bowen could have been killed. Snake left. Yeah, it's looking like Snake and Tiger have the most against them, because... But Tiger only works if, Amadeus was was somehow in the storage room, and Snake would have seen that. Now, if he was in there the whole time, it could have been Snake here. Questions around the Zodiac incident. Why were certain people more culpable for the incident not? Why were Dragon and I? There were two phones that could control the game. Why did Brian do this in the first place? Someone was telling Brian about it, and Brian seemed to know the connection to Oliver Bowen. Why did the Jade Emperor react strangely to Dog's questioning? Why did the Jade Emperor attempt to incite a fight between Dragon and Snake? If the plan to use the fight as cover to execute the two, why didn't they just do that? And why was I lured out to the building being rigged with an explosion? Why did Brian decide to die instead of explosion? Where is Bowen's golden knife? If someone has it, why is there no evidence of the blackmail material in it ever having been used? And of course, we have to remember... Alright, let's go back over the evidence involved in Pig and Rooster's murder. Pig expressed interest in having a computer find the mastermind. When Snake checked the crime scene, the door was locked. Snake then went down to the room with Bunny and Rooster. When Snake went down, Bunny left. Snake stayed with Rooster. Soon after Bunny left, he joined up with Monkey in the library. After some time, I joined up with Ox in the classroom on the second floor. Everyone else's whereabouts are unconfirmed. Nobody else has an alibi. This would make Tiger the most obvious option. Soon after Bunny left, he joined up with the Monkey in the library. After some time, I joined up with Ox in the classroom. Everyone else's whereabouts unconfirmed. Nobody else has an alibi. At some point, I heard a female scream. The door was blocked with a bookshelf, which Bunny moved out of the way. The dark room, somebody knocked me over. It's possible other people were knocked out of the way as well. When Bunny tried to leave, the room was stuck. A pig's body is lying in front of a computer. Dog's golden knife is by Pig's body. Theoretically, it was taken. The leg of dog's exploded corpse in the center. Blinds were taped over the window with duct tape. This means there was a lot of prep time done here, and the screen was set on the computer to go off at a certain point. The door has a thumb block inside the room. Traces of... Oh, so when Snake came in, the person was already doing... What basically this means is the person was already prepping, you know, when... Okay, so yeah. So... Alright, we can do this now. Who killed these two? Snake was there and found it locked. He is not... I don't think he's lying. We can mark off all these people who are... We can mark off Bunny, Dragon, Ox, Monkey. So that leaves Sheep, Horse, and Tiger as the potential killers. But why would they do that? They must be the theories they're working for the main accomplice here. That's unfinished. There's a traitor. In other words, they're in league with Cat, the mastermind. Also know the mastermind's identity. The person who imprisoned us here is the chief police, Oliver Bowen. Well, that's the way he claimed, but understanding don't be missing the real killer. Who is Mr. X? Somebody in this very room. I guess I got it wrong again. Oh, don't worry, I'm perfectly fine embarrassing myself with incorrect deductions, but I do feel what matters is I'm making progress. I could just look it up, but I'd rather embarrass myself by figuring out how to cross off everything. I know for a fact it can't be Bunny. Alright, it can't be Snake or anyone marked here, so it can't be us, Ox, Bunny, or Monkey. So it has to be either Tiger, Sheep, or Horse. Now, it's entirely possible they could be the mastermind and they were with us among... Okay, those mysterious voices in the room outright admitted that they were fine with the playing out the games to see which outcomes even involved them dying. And one of them seemed to be Dog, since he intended to mess with everyone. Someone who demanded to be in control of everything. Let me finish. The reason this person? Simple. That's right, the person's Zodiac bid. They're the cats. Do you know what else? They did truly mastermind this villain. Was the way he claimed. Understand what all started. And Morris didn't kill him. No, the culprit's one. Who is he? I'll tell you. In this very room. I also mastermind the Zodiac race. I realize that's the way he claimed, but to understand everything, you need to understand how this all started. Yeah, so I did get it all wrong here. But I'm pretty sure I'm close. Okay. Yeah, I think I'm getting the initial killer wrong here. If it goes on too much, I will just use the hint to tell me, but I'm pretty sure I have a solid idea of who it could potentially be. Maybe I was right when I suggested Tiger. I don't think the mastermind or... No. No, the point was never that they're the mastermind. I could accuse them being... How close... Let's see how close... Alright, we'll say I lose at how close was I here. Monkey, think about it has to be you. Warning, beyond this point, choose to give actual answers. Proceed to your own risk. Monkey was there with... Oh, why the person killed... That's right, the person by the very game, the cat. And you know what else? They also mastermind. Those two culprit. Where's the weighty claim, but understanding to be like... Oddly silent. Confusing, the assumption of single malicious. Morris may have killed, but actually, if everything makes sense, you need assistance. Assistance for one. The reason this has to be confusing is the assumption there was a single malicious party involved. In truth, other than Alice was separate involved in the incident with their own agenda. Yeah, well, they did say that somebody in this room. Was oddly silent while stunned. Pretty sure it's the real killer here, because there was something involved. Just near the real villain. I did unfortunately think Monkey was a legitimate option after she randomly seemed to ask everyone talking it over when... Yeah, I'm pretty sure even the most hippie of therapists would understand that when there's... Yeah, would understand that negotiation is off the table once everyone's already strapped to, you know, explosives. I feel like I'm a part way through here. It's most likely going to be somebody in this very room when this reaches the end, and there's the real killer, is what's going to be the case here. Well, the evidence is really strong. The fact that evidence was manipulated to be there is awful. I guess I wasn't close after all. The mastermind. You think about everything, it has to be you. Okay, yeah. Then I'm pretty confident I know. Let me fit. Monkey. Out of control. Do you know the reason why this person killed those two? It's simple. They're the mastermind behind all this. The very game. They're the cat. And you know what else? Alright, so I was on the right track when I chose that one. Alright, so I was completely off on who it was, but I was correct that they were the mastermind behind this. They also mastermind the Zodiac race. They're a true culprit behind. I realize that's a weighty claim, but I understand you have to somewhere else started. Bowen's murder. We've been missing the real killer. He didn't kill him. No, the culprit's one. I'll tell you, it's somebody in this room. Real assumption of a single party. Morris may have killed, but actually, if everything makes sense, he needed assistance. Who is Mr. X? I'll tell you. Somebody in this room. It was somebody in this very room. Now, I'll explain how this all fits together. Capture the true. This game as a whole game as a trapped and snare the real villain. Yeah, huh. I'm getting close here. I don't think I could have been a third part because they said everyone seemed to have their own agenda that happened to seem like they were all together. It's together. We have to know the mastermind. Yeah. I should have figured. I guess I was on the right track when I chose her earlier, although she wasn't my absolute first choice, but that's because I jumped the gun and tried to look at a potential killer Amadeus Bowen beforehand. Is that the mastermind? Also mastermind Zodiac race. They're also the true culprit behind the Zodiac race. Now you realize it's a weighty claim. You need to understand where all this started. Oh, I got it! It's somebody else, someone we all know well. Hold on, Mouse, are you thinking clearly? You yourself have a lot of accusations, and most of them don't make sense. Are you feeling okay? I'm feeling fine, Monkey. The question is, are you feeling okay? Must be unnerving, the truth being so close to being exposed. Mouse, please, I beg of you to calm down. You're doing breathing exercise. Enough with the damn breathing exercise. How can you talk so calm, me, murderer? Murderer? Monkey began nervously tapping her fingers. Monkey, please, I beg you, listen to me. What'd your father say? Do you think he'd think you were correct? Probably, actually. I'm trying to save you from the shame of being wrong. That's right, I have evidence. Really, or do you have theories? Your father had evidence he was correct. By emulating him being wrong, that'll just bring shame. I'm not. Instead, for some reason, my energy's being sapped. Monkey started such conviction that I started to waver. Were my theories any good? Mouse, you're not your father. You're not correct. You're going to feel shame if you continue. My faith began to dwindle. With everyone's eyes, was I about to be being a fool? Monkey, would you at least allow Meg to make your accusations first? Ox. Mouse, I can't say I know you too well. However, in the short time I've known you, you've shown yourself to be quite bright. If you're convinced Monkey's a culprit, then at least let your make your reasoning known. Frankly, Monkey has said nothing Monkey has said should have swayed that conviction. It was barely a coherent point. Yeah, you're right, Ox. So can it, Monkey? If you're innocent, you should let me speak. So the that shall be. Interesting. Very well, I'll listen to what you have to say. But Mouse, you're accusing me of something quite heinous. To be so cruel to a friend, surely your logic is airtight, correct? If it isn't, I'll be sure to point it out. Monkey, I'm sorry I'm interrupting you, please be heard. That is an entirely new expression, and I am getting Persona 4 vibes out of this. So, and I mean that in a good way. Good, it's good to be heard. I'll listen to what you have to say. Like you suggested, let's start at the top. Yeah, like Ox said, she seemed oddly quick to silent based on with absolutely no accusations. Sure, it makes sense for her to be upset about it, but she didn't even have any thing to debunk the claim yet. There was no evidence brought forward yet. You claim that somebody other than Aaron Morris murdered Amadeus Bowen, somebody not in this room. So tell us, who is this mysterious murder? Alright, let's begin. Amadeus' murder and your co-conspirator is none other than Rooster. Rooster? Mouse, are you sure about this? Hold on, let's not be absurd about this. Yeah, I knew Rooster was connected in some major way. They were a pair after all. Rooster, Mouse, are you serious? Are you okay? What about the gaslighting shit? Nick, I'm not falling for it. I'm not gaslighting you at all. I'm just concerned you're making questionable theories. You sound like O'Brien did, but I promised I'd hear you out, so I will. Though I wonder how you'll go about proving that absolute buffoon like Rooster somehow managed to commit the crime of the decade while avoiding detection. So go on. It's actually not too complicated if you think about it. First off, let's give Rooster credit. He's a lot smarter than he comes across. He's a hell of an actor. He'd been stalking Bowen for a while, vaguely aware of what he'd been doing. And on the day he got an appointment with the man, he figured it was the perfect opportunity. The night before, he swiped Bowen's MasterCard in the bar's restroom. What's this? How do you intend to make a claim? Surely Rooster wouldn't pull something like that. Monkey's right, Mouse. How could he take the wallet, pull out the MasterCard, and put it back in Bowen's closet? He never had to do all that. He simply swapped Bowen's wallet for one of his own. A wallet of his own? Like I said, preparation went into this. And this wallet of Rooster's will become relevant later, but for now, let's leave it as it is to how Rooster goes handling the MasterCard. The following day... Yeah, come to think of it, I knew one of the pairs was Monkey and Rooster, which means with Rooster out of commission, it could very well have been... that should have narrowed it down to just Monkey, because the others all had their partners still present. Although I guess I didn't have reason. I knew... Yeah, I should have realized that. Yeah, that's on me for not figuring it out. Then he went upstairs, was directed to the right rating room. There another appointment for Bowen was waiting. However, he needed to get away. So he feigned an illness to get to the restroom right before Sheep would go down the first floor for breakfast, as usual. In the bathroom, Rooster finally put the first of his many devious tricks to play. In the wall he swapped with Bowen, had a speaker installed. With the speaker, he intimidated Bowen, talked about how he had proof of Bowen's blackmailing schemes. It was likely a bluff. Rooster probably had generic suspicions about Bowen's actions, brought about by how Bowen was blackmailing his parents. However, Rooster was a good enough actor to convince Amadeus Bowen that he was in trouble. Rooster ordered Bowen to do something in his office first, then to open his office window and make his way to the storage room. Now hold on a minute there, Mouse. Surely you're aware of how absurd. How could you possibly know this? I don't. A lot of this is guesswork. The details of various places could be completely off. I'm just wavering the narrative. I'm now vouching for it to be 100% authentic. Even still, Mouse, you're not making sense. Amadeus Bowen isn't a man who could climb across windowsills just because a random voice told him to. There's creativity and then there's absurdity. That's... Now, Monkey, what do you have against creativity? How boring would theories be if they weren't creative? Snake? I apologize for stealing your spotlight, Mouse. Just thought I'd chime in. To Monkey's point, I imagine Bowen wasn't in the habit of things such as hopping across windowsills. However, if he felt his entire livelihood was being threatened, some minor physical exertion is fairly meaningless. More importantly, it wasn't a 300-foot drop, it was a second-story building. Bowen was a man in shape. Something like this would be nothing. Right, Snake's exactly right. And remember, Tiger was focused entirely facing frontwards, not backwards. So then Rooster went to meet Bowen in the storage closet. Snake, you're signing off on this? You were on the watch, right? Surely you would have seen Rooster through the window. Not at all. Thing is, the door windows have a fatal flaw. If you straddle the wall the door is attached to, then duck under the window, you can evade their line of sight easily. Ooh, thinking about it, yes, Mouse is correct. If Rooster moved like that, he could quite easily have gotten around my sight. Seriously? Fine. What next? Rooster confronted Bowen in that dark closet. There, he intimidated Bowen into doing two key things. Afterward, Rooster had no use for him. It was time for Rooster to move on with the murder part of his plot. He took out a metal wire wrapped around Bowen and strangled him. However, this is when something happens Rooster couldn't expect. Bowen took out a golden knife he always kept on him and tried to fight back. I can't imagine this was particularly effective, but Bowen was probably able to cut Rooster, getting some blood on the knife. But then Bowen finally passed out, having choked out well enough. It was time for Rooster to begin the cover-up. He locked the storage room window. He confiscated the knife with the damn bit of DNA evidence on it. He swapped his own phony wallet back with Bowen's original wallet. More importantly, he dragged Bowen's body and stuffed it under Snake's hollow statue. You're not suggesting. Indeed, I am. After putting the body there, Rooster put cardboard under the body and placed on a dolly. Rooster had done a lot of research for coming to the appointment. The statue being there was entirely within his calculations. Finally, Rooster slipped out of the storage room and exited the restroom, returning to the guest room. In the guest room, Rooster used Bowen's phone right in front of Tiger's eyes to bring Morris to Bowen's office. I know what's coming up. How will you be able to rationalize this, I wonder? To be honest, I still don't quite know how Rooster managed to pull it off. However, when Morris walked in, he heard a pre-recorded message that Rooster made Bowen, given the storage room and his phone's microphone. A pre-recorded message, huh? Good theory, Mouse. Still unique as always, but how was this message played? Remember, no calls were made and the speakers only connected to the computer. No files were deleted. There's gotta be some answer, right? Some answer. I thought you were gonna supply the answer, Mouse. I have an idea, actually. Go for it, Sheep. Well, I know this sounds kind of dumb, but if Rooster was really prepared, he could have done something like programming with his own innocuous-looking website. So then, before Bowen left the window, Rooster told him to open up that website and minimize the screen. At a glance, the website would look normal, wouldn't raise any alarms if the police wished to web history. However, since it was programmed by Rooster, it could secretly be used to play out live messages at a whim or something like that. A pre-programmed website? You people are getting absurd. You're right, it is absurd, but wasn't that the point? The more ludicrous the plan, the harder it is to imagine someone doing something crazy. Sheep's right. Yeah, I can confirm you can absolutely do something like that on a website's programming. Well, I guess it's pretty well known since people do that with memes all the time. So it's not like this is a big revelation. Besides, this isn't the only solution. There are also out-of-the-box ways to give Morris the "you're fired" message out of the trace. She's just raising one possibility. I see. Very helpful, Sheep. Thank you. What's next? I'm sure you're aware after this, Morris drove away, and yet a stack of cash with Bowen's fingerprints were found in his car. What do you propose I got there? Rooster could have easily done that before he arrived at the building. If I recall, Morris's car was cheap, the kind I might have. It wouldn't be hard to break in and plant the cash at any point. My oh my, even Horse jumping in to correct me. How sad. Well, Horse, Rooster had not yet gained the opportunity to access Bowen's safe. How do you explain that? He didn't need to. He probably just took a couple bills from Bowen's wallet and put it on top and bottom of the stack. Voila. Trick complete. Anyways, the displayed text of the prompt then prompts Snake to bring the statue into Bowen's office. Yeah, I was pretty suspicious of Rooster ever since he claimed to have gotten sick. That seemed like an absolute cover-up. But I didn't have the evidence, I guess. This one's a bit out there, but... Alright, like Snake mentioned, it was heavier than expected, but there was a full corpse inside. Like Snake mentioned, it was heavier than expected because there was a full corpse inside, and he never realized it. Snake left, and after the right amount of time passed, Rooster barged into Bowen's office, immediately locked the door behind him. He couldn't afford to let Sheep in until he was ready. He now unloaded the corpse and dragged him in the center of the office. He put phone back where it belonged in Morris' pocket. There he bludgeoned Bowen with the statue, creating the crime scene. Rooster continued to drag the body into Bowen's safe, which Rooster unlocked using the code. The second demand Rooster made in the storage room was the code to Bowen's safe. Who knows how Rooster got that out of Bowen, but he clearly did. When Rooster opened the safe, he knew he couldn't hide that amount of money that would be missing on his person, so he took out a plastic bag and lighter, piled the whole load of money into it, opened the window, burned it. No money was ever stolen. That's never what that was about. Alright, that's a bit of a filler there. You'd think they'd have found something on the windowsill, but I guess it doesn't matter. Like Mouse said, the point of this was never the money. Yes, so where the money... So someone taking it is irrelevant. Then picked up the statue murder weapon, placed in the bag. He chucked out the window a nearby bush or something, to later be picked up. He closed the window and locked it, and then he unlocked the door of the office and simply acted casual, waiting for Sheep to catch him. Just like that, the perfect crime was committed, perfectly pinned on Morris. What a spectacular work of fiction, Mouse. In all of our sessions, I never realized you had talent for fiction writing. However, I'm sad to say the little work of fiction you spun is by no means a definitive proof of everything. Have I mentioned it, it's fiction? For instance, let's say your explanation of how the crime went down is largely accurate. However, the true culprit was Sheep. What? Did she not possess everything the opportunity Rooster had? Well, yes, so why are you not accusing her? Lack of motive? But of course she would have a motive after working such a despicable man for so long. In my opinion, Sheep's much more likely to be knowledgeable to pull off such a crime. Well, that's the issue, Monkey. If Sheep was the killer, there would have been many other chances for her to get away. Fact of the matter is, she never would have needed an elaborate plan. Actually, the fact we were able to rule out Sheep like we did, ended with a stroke of amazing luck. Sure, Rooster intended Morris to be the prime suspect, but he couldn't have counted on Snake never taking his eyes off the hallway. He couldn't even be sure Snake was even looking down the hallway. Had any number of actors gone differently, it would have been torn between Sheep and Morris potential killers. Yeah, Bunny's right. To go to such length to hide your involvement, only to be a slightly lesser suspect. It seems implausible, no? Oh, right. That was the expected result. All your arguments have been standard, good, so then what of it? Congratulations, Mouse, you solved an old case where dozens of cops could not. Very well done. Rooster actually did, in fact, kill him. So what does that have to do with me at all? It has to do with you, because he was your partner in crime setting up the Zodiac race. Perhaps he was the original impetus for it all. Oh, it wasn't Brian's idea? Not initially. Why did Rooster set up such an elaborate incident? I can think of a number of reasons. For one, Rooster's career had been flagging, had it not? He was on the cusp edge of irrelevance. He needed something to revitalize his career. Some major incident would thrust him in the limelight as a hero. I think the Zodiac race certainly would qualify for that. There was also some people Rooster would certainly appreciate being dead. However, as already seen, Rooster was a complete paranoid perfectionist. To kill one man, he came up with a thoroughly elaborate plan to divert all suspicion, and even that wasn't enough. After all, there were 3 people who threatened to ruin everything, weren't there? First up, there was the local gang leader who directly saw him the night he stole Bowen's MasterCard. Maybe in an attempt to not have eyewitnesses identify him, Rooster left the restroom through the window or something. So that's why Dragon wanted to be in here. He had no way of knowing that she would remember that he was there, and if she ever did, that would be curtains. That would potentially be curtains, since that would lead us. That would be the string to pull to unravel the entire thing. In doing so, Dragon got a very good look, and he knew that. But he didn't know Dragon was entirely wasted and wouldn't remember the incident in the slightest. Wait, something like that happened? There's also the issue of Amadeus' son, who proved to be incredibly unstable. He was investigating the case of his own, convinced his dad's innocence. Worse, perhaps Rooster's stalking revealed that he was bouncing theories off Snake, the other person who could ruin it. After all, Snake was the one who could attest the weight of the statue, could attest to the out-of-place cardboard under it. He must have been so confused why he never brought something like that up beforehand. He didn't think Snake was so adamant at the time he barely noticed those details. But at this point, Snake was the only one who would know such details, so as long as he is alive, he posed a threat. You're saying this was all done to kill 3 people? That's incredibly elaborate. Why would Rooster go to such lengths? Well, first off, it's noting that Rooster planned on being a super famous star. If that were ever to be the case, a case like Bowen's hanging in his past would be a glaring weakness. If a sliver of proof remained, a stardom could attract reporters who dig into matters, might find witnesses like Dragon or Snake and Brian. But you're right, were it that, this whole thing would have been incredibly unreasonable. I'm not going to claim to know all the answers, Monkey, but I would guess he was influenced, just like Brian was influenced into starting this game by you. I thought you said Rooster came up with it. Rooster came up with the need for one, but like I said, this whole thing would work because you'd lure someone else to do all the dirty work. You're Brian's therapist, right? It was no mistake that he wound up the way he did, was it? You led him there. You didn't discourage fantasy. It's like the Zodiac race. In fact, you were his accomplice. Oh, so I actually was right about the whole Harley Quinn comparison. Dang, except she's even worse. Ended up even worse than the alleged Joker. That is the Rooster here. And once he'd gone so far as to prepare things like the collars, the coding for it, you knew the time was strike. The reason why a bunch more deserving people weren't throwing the death game is because you needed to leave room for 5 people. Yourself, Rooster, Snake, Dragon, and me. And you? And me. For whatever reason, you decided I was also someone that needed to be involved in all this. For whatever reason, you also decided I would be another person you'd have to clean up after. You know your logic is strong when you have to start it with for whatever reason. And surely Brian would have objected to this, no? He would have, which is why, before you could hold your own personal voir dire, you actually killed Brian long before the actual Zodiac race would start. Through poison, perhaps? Ah, yes, poison, you caught me. But in all seriousness, you expect anyone to believe this? In case you forgot, Rooster and I were participants. How could we be hosting a game like that? In case you forgot, the majority of the game is automated. Many messages pre-recorded. Yeah, and as we found out in the Monkey Trader timeline, she was pushing people along, even long after she accepted her own defeat. That sure seems rather odd. Even in timeline where we absolutely trust her, or she and Rooster decide to have their fun. Now, that timeline is probably intended to be kind of a commentary on how even non-traders can have a reason to want to get revenge, but I guess that did a good job of highlighting why Rooster had more motivation out of anyone to want to deal with all this, since Amadeus Bowen had been blackmailing his parents and all that, and his parents caused even worse stuff to happen. Perhaps the trickiest part during the big speech at the beginning, with everyone crowded together, it was critical you established early this thing was being puppeteered by someone else, someone who was alive. So you showed a live feed of Brian's corpse, with his face covered the mask, with his butterfly tattoo meaningfully exposed. But in setting Phil up, you asked us to do one key thing, one thing that was awfully unnecessary, something that never came back up again. We were supposed to all sit down, face the screen, and put back on our animal masks. It was my belief, then, that you had customly rigged it so that once you put on your animal mask, Monkey, a small microphone in the mask, or perhaps your collar, was put through the voice filler and playing on the speakers. That's why you said things the way you did. But if that's the case, surely you wouldn't have heard me speaking. We might not have. No, you definitely would have. I don't think so. I wasn't sitting that far from the group. Then you were whispering, weren't you? Whispered, but the program raised your volume. I always thought the Jade Emperor's intonation was off. Unfortunately, that's something I'd never be able to tell simply by virtue of the voice changer thing, hence why I tried to make him sound from Zero, like from Zero Escape 1. I suppose you don't have any proof of this claim? Oh, of course I do. Isn't it odd you were the only one not to speak a word during the Jade Emperor's speech? Mouse, that's not proof of anything. Apologies, but I wasn't feeling particularly chatty at the time. Well, yeah, I did think that while the Jade Emperor himself could have been mostly pre-recorded, I did make notes at the time that some of the messages could absolutely not have been pre-recorded. Like, some were generic enough that they could, like, and this person's asking the right questions. But when Horse said, "You won't kill as long as we don't break the rules," he explicitly said, something. It's a bit more complicated than that. That answer had to show that it had to be live. The voice at least had to be live. Interesting. Even I didn't realize that I was onto something, I guess. Fine, doesn't prove anything of the possibility I'm right. Still, that's enough here. Anyways, from there, you made sure that between you and Rooster, at least one of you was usually away from the group. You managed the game through the custom app, each of you having a phone. More to the point, a lot of the game is run automatically. However, when you tried to set up where you'd... Well, dragons... More to the point, managed the game through a custom app, each of you having a phone. More to the point, a lot of the game was run automatically. However, when you tried to set up where you'd kill both Dragon and Snake, it made it seem like they'd operate each other's tablets. You were unable to move. That's because Dog had Bunny gather everyone and have both of you put under constant surveillance. I find it funny my co-conspirator, the one you think was equally behind this all, is now dead. Does not act as some point in my favor. Not really. After all, he wasn't behind this game, nor was Brian or some other third party. You were. Oh. I can't claim to know why you did it, Monkey. If I had to guess, you'd simply gotten a taste of housing something like this, and you did it for some sort of enjoyment. Whatever the case may be, you didn't inform Rooster of what you were doing beforehand, which is why he reacted so poorly. And you established it was being run by a third party early on, using the opposite trick you did last time. In fact, this time you were the only person to interact with the cat, because the cat warmed up the device strapped around your chest and threatened everyone else to be silent. Of course she made everyone be silent. You couldn't reveal there was nobody else on the other end of the microphone. That little action you had with the cat, pure theater, recorded and rehearsed. And what next? Okay, yeah. This I know I did bring up at one point. Are you going to claim that I used my permission to mastermind to rig the game? You didn't explicitly break the rules, but like Snake, you played a rigged game. You grabbed the Tiger of Clubs, and Rooster grabbed the Tiger of Spades. He didn't know he'd actually gotten it the whole time, though. But at some point in round 2, you secretly told him to give his card to Dog. Scared of being revealed, he complied. Meanwhile, you discarded your Tiger of Clubs back to the communal table. That's the only way the actions of this game could have been explained. Deception of pair of traitors. Alright, so I definitely was onto it here, I just didn't realize which one of them could have been the murderer. I should have realized immediately after that betraying Rooster was absolutely on the table. Especially since, as you notice, he was oddly a lot more angry than he was during the main game. After all, the rest of us clearly did what we said, or else Tiger wouldn't have had 6 points at the end of round 2. Mouse, I thought we agreed the traitor killed Pig, but Bunny can attest to my whereabouts. Pig was killed, can't you, Bunny? I can, but you see, you're mistaken, Mouse. It might be accounted for when we heard the scream, but that wasn't Pig's scream, it was just recording on a timer, right? Pig's body was in front of a computer. Being the mastermind of a game, it should have been easily possible to exit the program, access the internet, get a random woman's screaming sound effect, and set it to play after a number of minutes. I think Pig's death was a tragic accident. She could have saved us all, but when she was hacking the computer, you happened to notice what she was doing. I noticed what she was doing. Wouldn't she have locked the door before going to work? She might have not known the door had a thumb lock. I mean, I would have missed that. Exactly. Pig was surprisingly smart, but also dumb in some ways too. I think she had just started hacking without thinking to lock the door, perhaps without even thinking to close it. When you discovered what she was doing, you knew she needed to be stopped, and you silently approached her from behind, rolled up your sleeves, and cut her on the throat. You just covered her mouth to stop her from making noise. Of course, you could have just stopped there, but as shown, you're not the type to leave good enough alone. Why, I have a clean murder, we can create a mystery. First, to me, the murder weapon looked like the golden knife from Dog's boot, perhaps disguised the real murder weapon. It was possible the actual thing that killed her was not Dog's golden knife, but Amadeus's. I don't know. What I do know is that you then set up the scene we were discovered. You start by taping the window, shutting off the light. Then you emptied the bookshelf and moved it. Most importantly, you leaned against the yardstick you stuck through the crack in the door and its hinges. A yardstick? Yeah, yardstick. Tons of classes have them. You hold it there yourself while moving. Right, so you glued it there. That's what the residue is about. Normally, the bookshelf would have been too heavy. Normally, the angle wouldn't allow you to lean on the yardstick. With the books removed and the bookshelf moved, it was entirely possible. Once you exited the classroom, you moved the yardstick in its glued position, and the bookshelf fell into place. When you went to the first floor, washed your hands of the blood, and returned to the library to wait. Bunny happening upon you was like a coincidence that you happened to... What you were really counting was Ox's presence in the nearby room. When the scream occurred, you ran out, and a small group formed around the door. Being last to enter the room, you were able to apply glue as you entered. In the darkness, you were able to shove me to the side and frame it as somebody already inside. You have an observation, Mouse. It's a very good murder you've invented. However, could Bunny have not used it in my stead? He had the same opportunity. Nah, dude may be a bit douche, but he's not the killer. I was listening to what Snake was talking about earlier. Something about the room being locked? I'm guessing that was you were doing, huh? Didn't want anyone stumbling across the screen while you're setting it up. Only thing that makes sense, anyway. Now here's where it gets good. Snake says that after he came across the locked door, he went down to see Rooster and Bunny. That's when Bunny leaves and has this window opportunity going off about. Don't you get it? He ain't free until after the killer must have been in the room. Oh my dragon, believing in Bunny and listening to Snake, how far you come? Hey, screw you! Dragon explained it well. You're the one who could have taken advantage of this trick, monkey. And that brings us to Rooster's murder. He's probably sick of your shit, to be honest. Probably pulled you in the library to ask the hell what you were thinking for this whole other death game, and now killing Pig. You decided at this point he's more of a liability, and so you struck him with a nearby heavy book. Rooster collapsed and fell by to a desk. Meanwhile, you're looking for an appropriate weapon. You landed on a pen. Grabbing it, you stabbed him twice. Then, before someone could find you, you left the library and went downstairs. However, the incident had gotten blood on your right hand, so you made your way to the restroom and washed it off. Ah, that's your theory. It's a little sloppier than I would have liked. It's some potential holes, but I suppose it works. Well, you've got a lot of reasons for I'm still a big bad villain. Anything else you want to tack on? Oh, right. Just now I figured out what Dyke's dog's dying message was. What he did with his hands. He covered his mouth, referencing hear no evil, see no evil, speak no evil. He was trying to signal monkey. I see. On the other hand, what was the 3 fingers? It wasn't 3 fingers, it was an M. M for monkey. Yeah, very clever. Are you going to dial it? Alright then. Your work was a little sloppy, relying too much on guesswork and simply being wrong on a number of matters. However, you managed to reach a conclusion 2 rounds sooner than I thought you would have. So I guess I give this a passing grade were I to evaluate it. It was fun enough to watch someone break my work down. So this means... Oh, you've got all gathered by now. Mouse was indeed largely accurate in her hypothesis. A wave of unease washed over. There was a strange blend of indignation, surprise, and fear, but for me, there was an added element. It's a shame. Now that the chaos was starting to sink in, I was planning on having more fun with you all, praying to weaknesses, get you to turn on each other. But I suppose that's no longer possible. Why, Monkey, I trusted you. You're always a good therapist. That means I'm innocent. No, of course not. I guess I just never knew you well enough. At this point, don't you at least owe you an explanation? I thought I just gave you an awfully long-winded explanation. Are you sure you want to hear it from me? I thought you guys just gave us an awfully long-winded explanation. Are you sure you want to hear it from me? I want to know what would drive you to do something like this. Okay, I suppose a good nice exercise to run through things a little more clearly. Now where to begin? I suppose I should start with my childhood. This would seem irrelevant, trust me. The full story is somewhat warranted, understand my perspective. Now then. When I was a young child, I learned my brain had a defect. I didn't experience emotions the same way other people did. That is to say, I had difficult to experience emotions in the first place. Well, and pretty well my reactions weren't like the others. That I was viewed a little differently than the others. To remedy that, I got better at leaving my emotions on all the time. For a time that was suitable, I was able to blend in, more or less, but that was just one aspect of my life. The problem came with my parents, my incredibly overbearing parents. My parents who controlled every aspect of my life. Could be generous and say they worried about my life since my brain works so differently, but I know that no matter what, they would have acted what they did. That's just who they were. I know that is simply how things were. They were like that through forces beyond their control. The end product of all this was that I lived an extremely controlled life, devoid of much freedom or autonomy. Lucky for me and them, it turned out to be something of a prodigy. I chalked it up to a side effect of my unique brain chemistry. When I finally went off to college, I felt like I could finally breathe fresh air. Unfortunately, that didn't last for long. Very soon after getting there, I found myself in a relationship with a rather despicable man. Certainly from the outside, he seemed a suitable partner. However, he was by most metrics one would consider an abusive boyfriend. Incredibly controlling. Her relationship was anything but healthy. Oh dang, she really did hook up. Really is Harley Quinn hooked up with the Joker. If only she'd met Poison Ivy, things would have gone much better. However, at the time, I wasn't able to see things clearly. I wasn't mature enough. And I had gotten rather good at keeping my emotions on all the time, which colored things. We went up for a time. He eventually broke up with me. I was too emotional. Ha. Ironic. Having rather thoroughly opened myself up, this blow came as a dagger. This was the first time in my life I learned what it meant to really be upset. Needless to say, I was not in a good state. And then, at the time, I had a fateful encounter. Hey, you alright? Because you kinda look like shit. Right at my lowest point, I met Rooster. He wasn't exactly the most reassuring person in the world, but it's clear he tried. Seriously, that comes like a total asshole, the type who needs to take a little walk down a long pier. That's not how the saying goes. Sayings are like species, they evolve over time. Anyways, look at like this, you're finally free. Free? Yeah, you got no constraints, you do whatever you want. Follow your passions unfettered. I suppose that's a way of looking at things. It's the only way of looking at things. Take me, for instance, I'm gonna be a famous actor one day, that's just a fact. But if I was stuck answering to boring people all the time to know what they're talking about, I wouldn't reach my goal until I was like an old man or something. Don't get me wrong, there'd be some kick-ass roles for old men, true. But there's that's a lot more of a niche market. They're often more mentor figures, some shit. I don't know, I've seen some where an elderly man made for an interesting antagonist. Make myself clear here? In a way, yes. Talking with him actually helped me out quite a bit. It recalibrated me, as it were. From there, I got my priorities in check. Firstly, I had learned from this whole experience it was far more preferable to keep my emotions turned squarely off. It was also decided that Rooster was right. I needed to find direction, something I had actually aspired towards. I I settled on studying psychology. After all, the way the brain worked always fascinated me. Since mine didn't quite work in the same way as everyone else's, it didn't take long for me to get a handle on things. Once you've read through all the literature on the subject, you get the gist of things rather quickly. Humans are a lot simpler than people like to admit. You so often hear about people doing illogical things when they're emotional, that you couldn't count on people to act in a way you expect when feelings are involved, but that's a reductionist point of view. Human behavior is actually incredibly methodical and predictable. It's just that the logic it operates on isn't as straightforward and universal as most types of logic. Each brain's logic is effectively its own world, but most of these logic resemble each other. You could learn the patterns without too much work. Eventually, I became a therapist. It wasn't hard. I lived a serviceable life, but it felt as though I was missing something. There's an emptiness to it all, like going through the motions, until years later I met Rooster. He was doing worse than I had when I met him last, but perhaps that's to be expected. Before, he was a youth in his dreams. After, he'd gone through a few flagging years. He was far from giving up, not even close. He felt like he needed to reconnect, so I accommodated him. As I got more to know about him, I realized that despite initial appearances, he was worthwhile. He was a lot more clever than he first appeared to be. He carried a certain type of charisma. He was a son of a rather rich family. Most importantly, watching his acting, it was clear he actually had real talent. He might not yet have made it big, or it was a matter of time before his career picked up, especially for someone as passionate as him. So I thought it'd be worthwhile to keep around long term. Dealing with someone as simplistic as him was remarkably easy to make him loyal. Once he truly fell in love, though, and once I convinced him he could trust me, he had a rather major confession to make. I had a feeling something was up with him, but I didn't know what it was until that night. So I don't know how to really say this. I've lived a pretty privileged life, I get that. My parents were filthy rich, they supported my passions fully. However, I ended up having to cut ties. It turns out they were doing some really shady shit. Losing their influence to prop up legislation of being passed in our city that I just couldn't get behind. It was entirely against my morals. We got in a big fight and ended poorly. In an instant, I was cut off. It was pretty rough. I spent my entire life doing pretty much whatever I wanted when I wanted. All of a sudden, I was cut off from that control. Obviously, I got through it. Somewhat, that is. Work's still tough. It's uncomfortable living at such a lower standard. And eventually, in another argument, I learned something. It wasn't actually just my parents' fault. They didn't want to do what they were doing. No, it's Amadeus Bowen's fault. Amadeus Bowen? You mean the man that... So see where this is going. I looked more into it. I hired a private investigator. Turns out the dude's a whole sleaze bag. I'm spotty on the details, but I think he's got a massive blackmail ring going. I was already angry at him for being a dick to me. I was trying to get work from him, but to learn not only was a huge villain, but he was responsible for my fall from heaven, I couldn't forgive him. I knew what I needed to do, so cut long story short, I murdered him, pinned the blame on someone else entirely. And you have to believe me, though, I didn't intend for Alan Morse to get executed. Yeah, I put a lot of evidence. I was supposed to know the body would be found so quickly. There'd be such an airtight witness to the scene. I certainly didn't think they'd give the guy the death penalty for a single murder. That doesn't even seem like something you should be allowed to do as a judge. It must be something you tend to do. I don't regret. He was scum that needed to be vanquished, but Alan Morris, his soul weighs on me, clutches my heart, he lingers behind me. He knows what I did, and he reminds me I can never be redeemed. I was already well aware of this case, namely because I had just received a client that one Brian Morse. Surely this must be fate. It didn't take much to calm Rooster down, to assure him he did nothing wrong. When he regained a more stable composure, he talked more about things in more detail. He mentioned how he got cut from Amadeus with this weird knife he had smuggled out. About how he still keeps that knife buried to this day. About how, after stealing the MasterCard from Amadeus at the bar, some gang members went up to him and straight up complimented him for the theft. He had been caught red-handed. He talked about how Aaron's son was convinced that the killer was still out there, that he was doing some dangerous amounts of digging. He talked about how the artist that moved the body must have noticed things were odd. Somehow they didn't come out of the police report, but there was no way the artist wouldn't have noticed the oddities. He talked about sleepless nights, knowing if he would ever become a star, these people would be loose ends and could never take his mind off, loose ends that could reveal his sin. Then I had the idea, why not make use of my client's collection? Surely it'd be a trifling task to convince someone as unstable as Brian to handling loose ends himself. Luring someone so unstable and doing drastic actions would force the police to publicly double down on Aaron's guilt, regardless of the truth. And hey, while we're at it, we could even use this opportunity to boost Rooster's popularity, make him the star he always wanted to be. An event like this would certainly draw a lot of media attention. It was the perfect starting place, a plan that truly killed many birds with a single stone. It took time, but soon he went for the idea. After all, it was just getting rid of a lunatic, an old man, and criminal scum. For my part, I view the situation as more of a challenge myself than anything. So how's it going? Certainly, Brian's unstable enough and ambitious enough to be used. Empowering his trauma and feeding his illusions was really procedural. The specific implementation of the plan, on the other hand, I have fears about. What do you mean? The brat's an odd duck. Instead of a typical hostage, he's coming up with ideas about a trial and making it like a game. Testing people's character. I've been trying to sway him in the right direction. There's only so much I can do on that front. Ultimately, it has to be his idea. That's the whole point of the operation. That's the only way it'll be airtight. So the plan's not working? No, the plan certainly can work. It's just gonna be more delicate to get the outcome we want to occur cleanly. And this is where the majority of the game takes place, where they figure out exactly, where they figure out all the potential outcomes, and so that's it. That's how they decide how to make, The correct people are accused to get the outcome they want. The correct people to become the traitors. More time passed. How's progress going? Well, things are moving forward one way or the other. I'm worried though. Even if we take control of things, even with these two of us both in the building, we'll be able to guide the group enough so that things work out the way we want. Even if we do, wouldn't it be a little obvious if we were the ones who made the important decisions? Oh well, what are you suggesting? Why take advantage of another client connection I found? Turns out the daughter of Aaron Morse's defense attorney is also seeing me. Really? Small world. Indeed. At any rate, I think we can use her. I've been curious about hypnotherapy, and after enough pestering, I got her to agree to it. As a matter of fact, it works nicely. With a rhythm and 3 key phrases, I've got her to becoming quite suggestible. I'll continue to drill this into all our future meetings. By the time of the death game, I'm sure we'll have a perfectly trained guinea pig. We'll be able to guide her down a path that suits us, make our moves a lot less explicit, less suspicious. Don't you think that's a little much? I mean, is that even necessary? I'd like to try it out. Ever since I had the idea, I couldn't stop thinking about the experiment. The idea of being able to control another human being so directly, it filled me with an emotion I hadn't seen before. Self-reflecting, I had weighed that something about my upbringing and trauma, combined with my unique brain chemistry, combined to give me a disposition where being in control of others gave me a fetishistic pleasure. Well, this is not something specifically I would judge her on when there's so many bigger issues to be judging her on. That's for certainly sure. That's speculation, though. I would need to analyze my own psychosis a lot more before I could say anything definitively, and that seems like a waste of time. I mean, if you're a good idea, it's kind of your enterprise and all. Brilliant. Of course, such an experiment would lead to another loose end, so it'd probably best to also settle that matter. Huh? Ain't no mind. From there, things went smoothly. Eventually, I got the full scope of what the game would actually be. However, I shuffled through dozens of scenarios, so I found the one that would be most reliable. Then we went forward with that plan. I won't bore you with the details. Mouse could probably theorize the bulk of them anyways. Point is, we put the plan to action. Words can't describe how exhilarating it felt, having control of so many lives at the push of a button. Watching everybody push themselves to the limit, planning out exactly how I planned it. Well, I guess not everything according to plan. Dog was a pebble in my shoe, but even that in its own way was a type of fun I'd never experienced before. I'm fully aware this isn't a rational response to this sort of thing. Needless to say, I've developed several mental disorders which have morphed my motivations quite entirely away from those any reasonable human would have. But just because I value different things doesn't make me value them any less. If anything, I learned a unique pleasure and most could never experience. It's sad Rooster couldn't see it that way. What the hell? Old Jay, I've been looking. Good opportunity to go to a word in with you. Have you been intentionally avoiding me, save whispering the odd order? Perhaps. What is all this? It's exactly what it looks like. A game I set up. Why? What possible purpose could there be in this? Why'd you have to kill Pig? How is that needed anyway? Rooster, you're the one who encouraged me long ago to pursue my passions, were you not? This is simply that, huh? Look, let me start from the beginning. Ethan, you remember what Dog showed us the other day, no? He showed us how the golden knife had a hidey hole. Seeing that, I figure you likely never knew, so I took it upon myself to find that damning knife you hid. Check the hidey hole, and you know what I found? What? A flash drive, filled to the brim with powerful blackmail material on the most influential people in the city, including the chief of police. Seriously? That's right, a gold mine of incalculable value, sitting on your nose the entire time. The fact you'd never discovered this after all this time. Perhaps it's to be expected. I always had a habit of overrating your competence. At any rate, whoever has this basically runs Hightower. With this, I can do whatever I want. Oliver, the police force, those with him, all dance to my song. Do you know what this means? It means freedom. Right. What are you gonna do with it? Whatever I want, I suppose. I'll start with standard things. Money, bigger house, better life, finer things. A life of luxury sounds nice. I've always wanted to try that out. With complete financial freedom, I'll have to try any number of passions. If none of them work out, there's a lot more this flash drive will do. How far will a famous actor go to protect his secret? How dumb a law could I get passed with my influence? Police under my control, I could try solving some cases myself, or creating them. The world's my oyster. I have to be careful, of course. There are quite a few opportunities for all this to turn on its head, but I'm a clever girl, and anticipating those bad ends seems fun in and of itself. You're really gonna do all that, huh? Maybe if I get bored. Who knows, maybe being wealthy is all it's made out to be, and that'll satisfy me. We'll have to see. At any rate, I'm certain this flash drive will bring you true happiness. There's only one thing that could get in the way of that, and that's the people gathered here. Snake, dragon, mouse, who knows what nonsense dog can fill their heads with. Ox is a prosecutor with a surprisingly rigid sense of justice and a high work ethic. He definitely needs to go. Initially, I thought Bumini would be easily compromisable. However, I've recently learned he's been making moves against dear Oliver. He certainly has to go. Oliver's the biggest card in my deck. Pig's a desperate journalist, eager to get any scoop. She came close to uncovering things before. She needs to do it again. Tiger's too dumb to be predictable. Who knows? She has the fame and riches to be a force to contend with. Force is a complete unknown. If he gets a whiff of the truth, he could very well come and kill me himself. And Sheep, well, to be honest, Sheep could probably be left alone, but you know, it'd be odd to just leave her out at this point. All of them have first-hand experience of this first death game, and Dog with the initial trial, with a lot of things, and none of them at this point are easily controllable. He told me to deal with the loose end Dog provided. Simply put, if we're dealing with loose ends, that's what I call a whole lot of them. Oh, but to kill all of them. And okay, putting all that aside, let's say you do kill them all. Why do this? What's the whole death game setup? How do you expect to get away with this? Honestly, the idea that someone inspired by Brian holds another death game is honest, far more believable than anybody having individually killed them all. everybody having been individually killed at roughly the same time. I'm sure all I can find is suitable patsy to pin it on. Why actually run the death game? Last time we did it so that it matched with Brian's description, so the other survivors would be witnesses on our side. But if the plan's to clean up all the witnesses, you should just blow them up now and be done with it. And where's the fun in that? Fun? There's no fun in murder. Why not? No, seriously, think about it. The survivors of the past death game are back, facing the new mysterious foe with new challenges. With chaotic cards and a traitor lurking, they band together. Will they band together and crumple? Doesn't this sound like a cool movie? This isn't a movie. The fact you think there's a difference saddens me. Besides, the worst comes to worst, I just explode them all and be done with it. Really, the matter's already settled. Does it matter if I play with my food a bit? Of course it matters. It matters because it's wrong. Wrong. Ethan, you consider disappointment in so many ways. I must say, our time together is impactful. However, I've far overestimated how much we are alike. I believe you've outlived your shelf life. If I'm going to be gaining true freedom, that means doing away with you as well. Hold on. Are you doing that book? That's indeed what happened. I believe that should answer the majority of the questions of the incident. However, if you have more to say with me, make yourself heard. I was, hell, basically brainwashed? There's no way, right? You're batshit, lady? Indeed. How could someone like this exist? It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't. How do you live with yourself? I already explained how I feel emotions far less substantive degree than the rest of you might. You... Save it. It's not worth wasting breath to argue with this reprehensible trash. It's completely unforgivable. Oh, don't curse me so thoroughly. It's not my fault. How can you say that with a straight face? This is simply how it's meant to be. Didn't you know, Ox? The world is fated. Your genes and history would decide without your input, like it or not. Those two factors really make the decision. From my birth, I was 100% sure I'd grow up to be like this. I had no say in the matter. Sorry if you're to curse anyone, curse God for the dandy held to him. And you dealt to him. You're saying you have no control of your actions. Not in the grand sense, no. Then I have to ask, how are you getting any pleasure from controlling us in these death games? By your own logic, you still aren't really in control. God is. That's... For the first time, look as though Monkey had been caught off guard. At any rate, we really are facing an issue. You got your hands on Amethyst's blackmail flash drive, yes? So this incident's not ending here. With her taste for blood awakened, the city is safely in your pocket. You intend to continue playing with innocent people's lives until eventually caught or killed. Oh, don't judge me so quickly, Snake. Like I said, I plan to start with some nice, peaceful living, but we'll see. They say being rich doesn't make you happy, after all. Well, we can't let that happen. Oh, but I'm afraid you must. It's a shame. This game's going to be brought to such an abrupt ending, but I guess this is a risk you take when you get clever and act as one of the participants. Believe me, it's a mistake I won't make again, but for now, don't despair. I needn't just execute a lot of you here now. Also allow one of you to join me and become my helpers. After all, the more of you make it out of here alive, the easier my job will be to explain this. You, Horsestub. The side snake whispered something dragon. You think I can just do whatever you want? Consequences be damned. You think I wouldn't give my life to slay a monster like you? If you think that, you truly can predict nothing. Horse rushed forward. Monkey didn't panic, however. Instead, out of her sleeve came a long metal rod. The intercepted horse's swing. The sound of horses and the cackling of electricity ran through the classroom. Oh, don't worry, Horse. Your little temper tantrum was well accounted for. But are you sure you want to kill me? Isn't there someone else who should be handling this? Horse faltered, looked down, but then he grinned. No, I think I can do this myself. Horse slammed his fist down, aiming at Monkey's head. He didn't hit Monkey's head. He hit Monkey's steak knife, which pulled out from seemingly nowhere. As Horse recoiled, Monkey quickly moving towards slashed him across the gut. He roared off kilter, collapsed towards the ground. Even the attacks you chose to use, entirely expected. Then again, am I surprised you were a pawn, the piece with the fewest number of moves available to them? Monkey then took a phone out of the pocket. I can think of a few others who might want to stalk irrationally. If you value your lives, and refrain from using violence. Don't forget it controls your life. With a confident smile, Monkey walked out of the classroom. Many wanted to stop her, but our attention was diverted as she ran to Horse. Hey, hold on! She took off her sweater and using it to address Horse's wounds. She looked over him in a grim decision. Don't worry, these wounds aren't fatal. You all take care of Monkey. I'll make sure Horse pulls out of this. And she moves accordingly as well. Apparently, Monkey hadn't fully left. Rather, she was simply staying outside the classroom. Using this hurry to cowardly excuse herself from the responsibility of dealing with the threat. But then again, perhaps she couldn't handle failing to properly address someone's wounds again. Enraged, she pulled out a pen from her pocket and began flung wildly. Monkey caught her with a calm look. The group went after her, though nobody seemed to know what the game plan was. Still, we looked in the hallway. She stood back at us, waiting patiently, holding a phone in the air. Her fingers circled around a button that I couldn't read. I could guess what it meant, though. First step forward to Snake. I'm not sure if your offer's genuine, Monkey. Of course it is. Well, then I'd be happy. Forgive me, Mouse, but it's not like I have much choice in the matter. With our options limited, I now stand with the powerful. Besides, helping her with this blackmail job could be quite interesting. Done right, there could be beauty in these experiments. I'll have an editorial note on how in the future you could... Oh, that is a snake, you asshole! The rage dragon stepped forward. Without a second thought, she swung her metal bat. Oh, right, she had a metal bat before. One of Snake's back legs. Ah! I knew you were a selfish asshole, but never saw this in you. Maybe I can't hurt Monkey, but I can show us a set of potential traitors. Stepped down on Snake's left hand, then swung the bat at his left arm. Heard the sound of bones crack. Ah! Everyone look at this. This is what happens when you sell your soul to the devil. In a rage, she swung hard at Snake's side. Again, the bat heavily impacted Snake's right arm. Ah! Snake fell to all fours. In a beautiful flow, immediately spun around and changed her target to Monkey's left arm with one holding phone. In response, Monkey checked. With a cattle prod, sending her flying. Damn it! Dragon, you moron! I was obviously going to betray her. What? My, what a comedy of errors. I'd be laughing if this wasn't entirely what I thought would happen. Snake would inauthentically plot to get on my good side, intending on betrayal. Dragon would act first, think later, but her eyes would never really leave me. She'd just be looking for a time to strike at me. To think I'd you pegged as the most unpredictable. Just then, Snake lunged up from his position, his right hand grabbed the phone. Monkey caught off guard, tried to pull back, but the phone went sliding to the floor. Dragon, still lying on her back, grabbed her bat and smashed the phone. Gotcha. This is us at our school. We recently had a stage performer come in. I picked up his lessons on acting how to fight quite quickly. Snake smirked, but as he winced, it was clear Dragon had indeed broken his left arm. Monkey's entire face on the head was flushed. She immediately started twiddling her thumbs at a speed I'd never seen before, closing her eyes. It looked like she was muttering something under her breath. Then a few seconds later, she gained her composure. I've amended my predictions. I'm still fine. It's simply a matter of foregoing the phone and using the computer. Instantly, I realized what she meant. She's going to try and get to the base where she's running the game. However, as Ox shouted this out, Monkey reached under his sweatshirt with a bit of difficulty, pulled out a metallic stick. I realized this was part of the contraption used to strap ours, but Monkey was able to undo this piece from her explosive. Wait, these were strapped to her chest. As a result of what this meant, she flipped a switch in the cylinder and threw it up the ceiling. She immediately began to run down the hall. I started to follow her, pushed back the immediate explosion that occurred in the cylinder at the ceiling. It was a pretty minor explosion, definitely not the full force of the blast that could incinerate our chests. It was enough to do a number on the building's structural integrity. The ceiling began to collapse when Tiger leapt in front and held up her arm. She began to shield us at the debris fall. Hurry, get out of here! We didn't need to be told twice. Ox, Bunny, and I ran for. Tiger stood in place, attempting to prevent the entire building from falling in on itself. I was grateful for what she did, but I didn't have time to give thanks. I was sprinting towards Monkey at full speed, with Bunny and Ox by my side. If she was able to get wherever she was kept the computer before we caught up to her, no, I couldn't think about that. Yeah, like Snake said, don't worry about what you can control. If she makes it there, we're all dead anyways. He is so only focused on what we can do, catching up to her. We were gaining on her. As much as Monkey could predict, she was quickly running quicker. She could think herself into running quicker. Up ahead, Monkey took a hard right to turn the corner where the staircase second floor was. Why was she immediately mind flashback library? Other than the two doors to the exit, there was one door in the back with an exit sign. She must have been aiming for the door to leave the building. We followed her. Bunny taking the lead, so he was the first to begin, which is why he was caught by the pal rod as Monkey leaped to ambush him. To Bunny's credit, though, he didn't immediately pass out. He actually caught the prod. To my utter shock, he gripped as hard as he could to break it off. I'd heard cops needed to pass pain tolerance tests before they got their taser, but this is something different. However, it's not like Bunny was Superman. In doing this, he immediately and wordlessly fell onto his back. Naturally, being the quickest of the three, that's the most troublesome one-handed. Without another word, she resumed her sprint up the staircase, but through this ambush, Ox and I had all but cut up to her. We made our way up the double-layered staircase, prepared to run down the hallway. However, once again, Ox began to turn. Monkey did. Took the blow square in his chest, then stumbled down the stairs, knife still in. And you, the smart one, fell for the exact same trick. Is there really any difference between a cop and a prosecutor? Again, Monkey resumed running away. Ox, I'm fine, Mouse. She just get me in the side. More importantly, go after her. Of course. Why'd I even stop to check if I was fine? I was the last one left. I couldn't pull my weight. We'd all be dead. I ran faster than before. Like I thought, Monkey entered the library, and I went right in after her. There, in the library, Monkey turned towards me, catching breath. I slowed down, also catching my breath. Please, Monkey, you don't have to do this. You're right, I don't. And seeming out of nowhere, she threw a jab right at my head. I was so blindsided, caught the punch square in the face. I stumbled the wall. Tiger sacrificed herself in the explosion to let was Ox and Bunny through. Sacrificed the cattle rod to get rid of Bunny. Sacrificed the steak knife to get rid of Ox. In the end, Mouse alone will catch up, but she won't be able to stop me from walking out that door to the nearby computer and entering a few simple keystrokes. I already told you, Mouse, I redid the calculations. This is a solved game, and your team loses. It can be the case. Now, this is an interesting one here. Now, this is a lot of things past, so let's go and do this here. Her appealing to humanity is pointless because we know she can simply turn off her emotions, likely how to do this. She can catch up in a lie, I imagine. She's not going to... Took a moment to steel myself, then rushed up. I planned to go for uppercut before I could even towards me. Give me my stopping the progress. Come now, Mouse. I was able to handle Horse in a fight. You think I can handle you? I mean, without any weaponry, I probably couldn't handle someone like Bunny or even Ox, but you, even weaker than me. That'd be something. Challenger to a game is no change. Let's settle things fairly. You think you're so good at predicting things? Well, why don't you prove that? One final game, you versus me, winner takes all. I'm excellent at predicting things, Mouse, which is why I knew you'd propose something desperate like this. Something, anything. Okay, you got me. If you're gonna spare me. Yeah, she's not gonna fall for this. You're quite smart, Mouse. Smart to know your only chance is to trick me. Apologize, I know you quite well. I'm your therapist. 3%. Alright, please. I don't want to. Alright, I could be useful. Yeah. Oh, Mouse, couldn't you at least have the dignity to lose this game without being looked like a disgrace? I wasn't done yet. I had noticed the stapler. In motion, I leaned over and then flung it. She leisurely swayed, letting it fly harmlessly. This is really the best you can manage. You really are running out of choices, aren't you? Don't worry, you won't have to make them very soon. Monkey looked at me with akin to pity. Oh, Mouse, don't look at me like that. It's not your fault. You really are a remarkable woman. Given a situation, you far exceeded what most would be able to do. Fact is, humans have their limits. Looking at you seem to be struggling, panicking, thinking that if you did or said anything right, you could win, but that's just not how things work. There are times in life when none of the options could bring you to victory. Just accept this as one of those times. It's a shame to get rid of you, Mouse. I had a lot of fun controlling you. In some weird way, it was even more fun when you acted out of line. You're a wonderful puppet, but I plan on living free, and you're too much of a liability. You're not going to get away with this. There's some way to stop you. It'd be nicer for you if there wasn't there, but I already thought it through. The chessboard, I picked every piece delicately. I crafted the pieces myself. There's nothing here that can defy my expectations. I have nothing to despise my expectations. I can certainly control the outcome of the game. Just face it, I'm in control of everything here. You're in control of nothing. Because I have control, I choose to murder you all. And nothing unexpected is going to pop up and save you. You can only unexpectedly taunt fate so much until the world decides to whack in the back of the head. In this case, that came in the form of Rooster. To my complete surprise, he'd woken up from a stupor. Monkey made the classic mistake of monologuing for too long. While she did that, Rooster regained his footing. That's right, we attempted to save his life, and I guess even if we didn't succeed permanently, it at least made him last long enough so he could do this. He did not look okay at all, but as though he was possessed, he rushed at Monkey, slammed her into the wall. Ah! Before Monkey could cry out more, Rooster's hands were wrapped around her throat. What are you This must end! Stop! This must end! With an unparalleled rage in his eyes, Rooster choked Monkey's neck harder and harder. A number of emotions went through his eyes, confusion, then fear, desperation, and final acceptance. What did I do during this? Nothing. I just stood there watching. Finally, Monkey's eyes remained open, but they saw nothing. Rooster let go of her, letting her corpse fall to the ground. The second person he'd killed, the second person he'd strangled. Then he turned to me, looked me right in the eye, gave me a look of, how to describe it? Can't think of the right emotion, but it was equivalent to a sad shrug, an apology, grim acceptance. What can you do? Then, without much ceremony, he collapsed to the ground. He was far from recovered. The fact he'd gotten up in the first place was probably a one-in-a-million miracle itself. Type no one could predict. Sort of thing God sends now and then, just to keep us all humble. Of course, she must not have... Yeah. It seemed... Yeah, because remember, neither Pig's death nor Rooster's death were originally planned. Pig's happened early enough that she had plenty of prep time, but Rooster's was spur of the moment and immediately after Pig, so she had no time to do much other than clean herself up. She had no idea that Mouse and Ox would be making an honest attempt to save his life like that. Or rather, there was such little time it was unlikely they'd be able to, given what they needed to input their rounds. Absent-mindedly, I walked to the door Monkey was running to. I opened it. And there, for the first time in a long time, freedom. I wasn't moments away from dying. I could almost cry, but not yet. I looked over and saw a picnic table. The door apparently led to the school's backyard. On the picnic table were a number of things. Of particular note, there was a laptop. This probably was running this whole thing, but there's something caught my eye. A small orange USB flash drive. That was it, wasn't it? Amadeus' legacy, the root of it all. I picked the flash drive up, held the holy hand grenade, and now... What to do with you? Pocketing it would give Mouse absolute control. She could even pull a Morgan Everett from Deus Ex, perhaps, use it to create some good. Leaving it for the authorities, perhaps, to allow it to go public. Though I suppose Chief Bowen would most likely... He put it all under wraps. Crushing it will simply end the madness here. Without a second thought, I clenched my hand. I'd have nothing this USB in the games I'd played. I felt the metal crush in my hands. And just like that, it was over. Yeah. I'm sure this is another choice I'll be going over quite a bit in my head, but... At the end of the day, this thing was the cause of absolutely everything. Amadeus' madness, the thing that led to the murder of all those people, and even these death games. Just like that, it was over. I contacted the authorities, they arrived at the scene. In the meantime, I just stood there in open air, finally free. To put it mildly, I had a lot of thoughts about everything that happened. It was reasonable to say I'd never be the same after all this. I definitely need a new therapist. Because boy howdy, was there a lot of stuff to work through in all this. But I'd move on. And unlike Dog and Pig, I could. Unlike Amadeus, Bowen, Brian, Rooster, and Monkey, my life didn't have to be defined by my incident. It'd be a bit of doing to get over it all, certainly. Naturally, the media would eat this incident up and it'd be all over the news. In all likelihood, I'd never truly shed the skin of this incident, because the fact of the matter is, you can never truly erase the past. But I didn't need to be defined by it. I could go on to become the greatest defense lawyer. I could be angered, shake my fist at injustice, and turn to a prosecutor. Or Ah, the Miles Edgeworth response. I could become a famous author writing about what happened, and other similar topics. I could get really into horse riding, become a professional jockey, or I could just pop off a building one day. Whatever happened, I was free to choose. I was in control, and that's what really mattered to me. Many weeks later... hey, nice place to have here. It isn't. Nice of you to stop by, Ox. I wasn't sure if I'd see you again. I don't know why you wouldn't. We did sort of go through a lot. Are you really gonna still call me Ox even now? Think of it as a nickname. I'll think of it as a reminder of a pretty traumatic experience. Well, you always did look on the downside. Anyways, what brings you here? There's no reason in particular. I just had some time off and I wanted to see how you were holding up after the dust has really settled in. While I'm living, I found myself a new therapist, hopefully one that doesn't try to slowly brainwash me over time. That's the goal, isn't it? So how about you? How's the whole prosecuting business been? Taking a bit of a break on the whole count of the whole, everything, but I'm ready to get back to business as usual. Are you happy with that? Business as usual? What exactly that's supposed to mean? Nothing, I'm just asking a question. I see your penchant for getting into other people's business hasn't gone away. Anyways, you hear about the news regarding Rooster? Yeah, he finally woke up, didn't he? Indeed, honestly, after spending so long in intensive care, I thought he was a goner. Totally, I can't believe the botched job we cobbled together actually did end up saving him. You can never truly underestimate the human spirit. I guess yeah. You can't. He was going to jail for probably the rest of his life. The case against him presently is actually surprisingly tenuous, should he choose not to confess. Oof, yeah. But yes, I would still wager on long-term imprisonment. That's probably for the best. Still, I can't say I don't feel at least a little bad for him. I mean, he did end up saving us when all is said and done. And he was probably just as manipulated to being partly as the whole thing as Brian was. As to being party to the whole thing as Brian was, I suppose. Still, I wouldn't have shed a tear had he not recovered. The funeral date for Dog and Pig is still being set. It's been a while. I think it's nice that Pig's online popularity is surging post-mortem. I mean, it comes to like a hollow consolation, but it's not nothing. I'm sure Pig herself would have appreciated it. I'm sure Pig would have... Yeah, exactly, Ox. I'm glad we're both on the same wavelength. I'm sure Dog would appreciate the immediate silence on his whole part in any of this. He probably would have. Did you hear about Tiger? She's back at the Olympics training. I heard that. Apparently she wants to try and qualify for some sport at the Winter Olympics, although she's not sure which. Which seems about right. I wonder what they want to do with them, what she wants to do with the Winter Olympics specifically. Honestly, I was probably just on a whim. Seems a little late in the game to start training for an entirely different sport, though. Well, if anyone can do it, it'll probably be Tiger. I also went and saw Sheep. Oh? How is she holding up? She seemed good. She was back working at the library. Really, it's like not much has changed at all. She's pretty much the same person there as when we were kidnapped, but she seems to be enjoying her job well enough. That's all that really matters. At any rate, I've also heard about Bunny. Oh yeah, so did I. Since I crushed that incriminating flash drive, it's difficult to prove much regarding the whole police situation. Didn't he revolutionize the police force? Yeah, unbeknownst to Oliver Bowen, it appears Bunny has been spending his time gathering confidants who are also sick of the current system. In a rather radical turn of events, a bunch of evidence has come to light that put Bowen and many other high-ranking officials under great scrutiny. They lost their jobs, and the federal courts are pressing charges. In the meantime, Bunny and the others have been the acting police force in Hightower. Good for Bunny, I guess. He strikes me as the type that would plot an uprising like that. And a shocking twist, sounds as though Horse will be joining Bunny. Really? Yeah, apparently he decided to quit his job as construction worker and will be trying to become a police officer. Something about getting a more stable income for his daughter. I think Horse being a police officer is kind of fitting. I guess I could see it. Citizens can sleep safe knowing Bunny and Horse will be watching over them at night. If they're really going to do a full recap on how everyone's been doing, I suppose I'd be remiss not mentioning Dragon. You would be. Apparently she's reformed her gang and group aimed to protect and uplift the community. No shit. Indeed. I suppose the Dance with Death made Dragon turn an altruistic heel. Naturally, it's a drastic reform, and the group has been met with a lot of backlash. A lot of people quitting, other gangs eager to take advantage of the power vacuum. But that's always to be expected. For the most part, it seems like Dragon's keeping things together. That's a relief. I spent a lot of time in prison with her. I'm glad to see her charisma is being used for good. Indeed, she's even collaborating with Snake. You're kidding. I'm dead serious. Snake apparently rekindled his love of teaching through this. I spoke with him. He says that even after everything's said and done, he realized that things that would last long after he's gone was not any of his artwork, but his influence on the younger generation. Put that way, it'd be simply immoral to waste time dilly-dallying about nothing of substance, no? Sounds like Snake, alright. In the same, he's been part of a community outreach program aimed at helping high school dropouts turn the life around. Pretty saintly idea if I've ever heard one. You're telling me. Right on, Snake. Right on. I sighed. It was all a lot to take in. Say, Mouse. Yes? I've been bothered at all with what Monkey was talking about back then. You're gonna have to be a lot more specific. That lady said a lot of crazy shit. Indeed. I'm talking about her whole spiel about the world being predestined and everything. I've been thinking about it ever since, and she raises a point. In this specific avenue, I mean. I just don't know how to refute it. Ox, have you heard about playing your outs? I've heard about Snake when we were imprisoned at Dogs. Basically, the idea is there's a situation where you always win or always lose. You ignore it. After all, your decisions don't matter in those scenarios. Instead, you focus on situations where your choices can matter things. I think that's very applicable here. How so? Perhaps predetermined's real. Who gives a shit? If that's the case, then whatever. But if it's not, think about how ridiculous it is to use predetermination as a crutch. Just imagine failing to win a race and then claiming you could never have won the race because it was predestined. That's laughable, right? Well, when you put it like that, I think it's important to keep in mind everyone has their own circumstances that made people the way they are. Sometimes things happen without a lot of good reason. That's fine and good, but beyond that, the only use I see for thinking about this stuff is making yourself depressed. I don't know if I have true free will or whatever, but I know I'm experiencing my life. I know what choices I make are that will make my life better or worse, and that's what matters. It's kind of dismissive way of thinking about it, though. Is it wrong? Who's to say? I am. Then it isn't so wrong. Exactly. Standing there, my eyes wandered to crush the USB still sitting on my desk. Evidently so Doxus. I have to ask, Mouse, why'd you crush that thing? You must have had a ton of important information. Useful. I sighed. I really wasn't in the mood to be lectured. I was just sick of it. Stupid little stick that caused so much infighting, so much suffering. I didn't want to be smart about it. I want to be over. Well, it's certainly over now. Yeah, you're right. While I do agree that a lot of that information could have been used for positive ends, including helping Bunny with his uprising, and who knows, maybe there's a timeline where I did end up going for that simply because I do know it can be used. In this one, I just happen to feel that, no, it's the start of everything. It can only truly be over once it's gone. It's finally over. And I imagine once the stream ends and all that, I'll probably feel differently and think, you know what, I'll probably do that other one instead. I couldn't say for sure what the future had in store for me, or Ox, or anybody else. I couldn't say whether or not I made the best decision in the past or what I should have done. I can't say this whole disaster wouldn't stick with me until I died. For the very least, I could say destroying that Pandora's box once and for all, I had killed the case. No one will also be tempted by its siren song. All that's left is to bury the bodies that left, and that was good enough for me. The Black Joker. There are infinite ways in the universe to live. This is merely one. No man has a set path he must walk, but in the end, we must all make a choice of which. Sprite artist, CG artist, GUI, musicians. There was this, I guess since we're on this ending, credits, I can give my final thoughts here. Playtesters. This was definitely, I had no idea what to go with. Thank you for playing, your support is everything. Excellent. Oh, I've unlocked interview room. Interesting. Alright, since we've seen the credits, I can now give my thoughts on the game here. Now, I wasn't entirely sure what to think of this one, since I knew it was based off Zero Escape, and definitely it was based off that series, especially the first one, 999. And I must say, that every single character in this game was genuinely interesting and memorable. They each had a nice hook and some good backstory to them all, and the overarching story had a lot of really good intrigue on it. So, absolutely all that. Now, this being a VN, I'm not too bothered by the gameplay here. It's even more simple than Danganronpa now that I think about it, since there wasn't too much. There was just a few text-based puzzles, and even if I failed them, another character would usually walk on by and solve it for me if there's a problem. So, it's not a big deal. Well, I guess that's a bit too obvious, so more to the point here. I really did like, I wasn't bothered by, I did like how they used the visual effect, distorted effect to try and make as many different backgrounds as possible, while also making it clear we're not supposed to focus too heavily on the background so much as what's going on in it. And I did like there was a lot of neat drawn scenes for the various different events. Now granted, there wasn't as many as I was kind of hoping for. I mean, I was hoping the death scenes at least would have them all, but in the general sense, even for stuff like examining dead bodies, for example, you'd think there'd want to be some close-ups to help give an idea of what to look for, but no, it's almost all black screens with text overs. But given how this is a very small-scale indie game with a very small team, I'm definitely willing to look past that. And of course, this is a VN, so it's understandable there's a lot of reading. In fact, that's why I had to take so many more water breaks than I usually do during these streams. But that was a very enjoyable, that was a really good game. I was definitely surprised. I should have realized about the Joker card there. Ah, yeah, that's the other one. I should probably get the deduction wrong here. That reminds me. Let's get the bad ending while we're here. Alright. Yeah, there also wasn't very much music in very many different types of music in the game, but I feel they were all used to very good effect. I don't know, I'm not sure it's a good idea, huh? I mean, the mastermind thought something like this might happen. What if she pops the screen and says her computer's acting weirdly? They might just mean to blow you up. And that's a good point. I think it's a risky plan. True, this might be a bad idea. Still, I don't make complacent anymore. I can't be passive. My life, my life on the line. I could roll over and die. For certain. But that oddly determined words, huh? It seemed to me that something changed compared to the girl I met when I first woke up in the crappy high school. Good for her. Not cool what you're doing, but even blackmailed, right? Sounds like you're the victim here. The Jimmy's trying to do good the best you can. I don't know how it's evil. Well, thank you, Mouse. Most people wouldn't. I'm not most people. Just like that, I walked away. I imagine... I mean, obviously, you got through a dangerous death game once before, and you're gonna do it again. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. You're exactly right. Thank you. Don't mention it. Yeah, I'm going through... Kind of dragging the puzzle. Alright, let's go through most of the same decisions here. Ah! Big Sister's gonna track a computer trying to help us. I pointed out she did that. Mastermind might explode remotely. I guess she figured if she tried hacking through Dog's computer, she'd be safer. Or the Mastermind wouldn't know who was trying to act fishy, and it's not like they'd explode everyone. That's true, she wasn't exploded, but... Okay, so Pig, unfortunately, meets an end no matter what. Unfortunate end no matter what. Yeah, this is the reason I'm giving all these different options. Usually swap to the side. This is really the best you can manage. You really have no choices. Don't worry. Ooh, I think you're so good at predicting things. Why don't you prove that? One final game. Predicting, which I need to propose something desperate like this. Oh, I was gonna get the other ending here. Let's leave it for the authorities here. This was a crime scene, incredibly important one. I didn't want to have anything to do with the case after this. Best let things play out naturally. I set the USB drive back on the table. Just like that, it was over. I remember handing that incriminating flash drive over to the authorities, but strangely, ever since I did that, it's gone missing. Difficult to prove much going on in the police situation. Oh, so it was good that I crushed it before. Force has been taking quite a bit of flack with the rampant rumors and confessions. In the meantime, he's been acting quite a spokesperson for them. He's gone back to his job as a construction worker. Careful now, I didn't mean that as an insult. We're gonna recap. I drifted out the window of the city of Hightower in a perfect, messy city. Do you regret turning in the flash drive? I mean, kinda, but it's just doing what it's supposed to. How was I supposed to? The corruption ran so deep, even some low-rank officer would be trusted to hold it. It's a shame. With it gone, various aspects are hard to prove. Do you know how many villainous secrets lie on the thing? Probably dozens, at least. Do you think the flash drive was destroyed, or another opportunist blackmail got their hands on it? I don't know, but no matter what, now the truth is caged, I want to come out right. Lies and deception are a temporary measure. Or because by its very nature, truth gets out. If there's trouble with that, well, I guess I'll just have to be there to help it out. There are infinite ways in the universe to live. Just one. Whoa, what's going on? I was hacking the computer and back in my home. Wait, who are you? My head, it hurts. What's going on? I don't know. Alright, cool. Oh, when she said I don't know... I was just, I don't know, it advanced on its own. Looks like it worked. Hey there, glad I was able to make it. Match up some questions. Yes, that's fair. Alright, what do you want to ask? Go on here. Well, Pig here is in purgatory, as are a number of characters who are dead or near death. But I'm not Pig. I'm the creator of the story you've experienced. I also want to answer some questions about anything. The problem is I didn't exactly have a body to have it for the interview, so Pig was sort of sitting there, and not like she had a really lot of deep revelations to reveal, so you could say this is a bit too meta. And to that, I'd ask you how you'd handle this. You could also say this is just stupid, and that that sort of shrug. I mean, fair. We're already here, so. Some insight on the story. You mean here at once? This seems a little tiresome. Okay, how about this? Do you want to just be able to chime in as sort of commentary track? Of course, there's still routes you're blind to. Maybe I'll think twice about this. I'll put spoilers all over the place. Turn on narrator's commentary. Alright, cool. Consider it done. What inspired all this? The disjointed nature of the routes didn't give it away. There's a lot of variations at play. In a sense, all the media I've consumed at this point had in creating this, but if I had to narrow it down to a few, it would be remiss not mentioning in a certain trilogy of death games, Zero Escape series. Although I believe the nature of this one feels a bit more like Zero Escape 1 more than any. Honestly, all the DNA of various visual novels have been incorporated, but that's the most direct inspiration. Yeah, there's also one show which I don't think even was that amazing, but it was a battle royale based on Chinese Zodiacs. I was already interested in them, but the series definitely brought them back to mind. And the film 12 Angry Men was also an inspiration. I know that sounds a bit weird, but a big thing about this Zodiac Trial is actually the second version of the story I've done. Originally it was a shorter, regular novel. It was a lot different in this story. A different setting, different mechanics, different backing plot, different twists, mostly different characters. But it did have a similar premise, and I thought it was a strong one. When it came to a visual novel with a limited number of people and locations, I knew adapting the first version of the story could work, and so I did. The original version was a little more streamlined. I think it incorporated elements, but it was a shorter novel, and this was a big, sprawling visual novel. Overall, I prefer this version. How do I unlock the other areas? The others, huh? Let's see. Well, Dog's always been a sucker for games, also puzzles. If you get all the puzzles found in this tale correct, he'll be sure to talk. Beneath everything, Rooster does care. If you give everyone a happy ending, or at least give a happy ending to everyone who can get one, he's sure to appear. Monkey, she's partial to those who imitate her in some way. If you go through all possibilities just like her, collect a full deck, she's bound to have something to say. If you talk with those three, there's one more person who'll probably speak with. They're the file unlock. Oh, between you and me, if you talk to everyone, the chance it goes to someone else. Someone's not really part of the story. That's only possible to those who haven't received help. It's possible that option's already gone for good. Okay, so if you use a hint, you fail. If that's right, don't feel too bad. That's not really someone you need to be listening to. What? Well, I won't sit here and say I've necessarily been good at these VNs, even with a Great Ace Attorney. That game did. Oh, I will openly admit that game beat me at a few times. So I suppose that is indeed locked to me. Granted, I could go into the files and unlock it manually from there, but it's not like there's any achievement for it. And worst case scenario, I'm pretty sure it's on YouTube somewhere. Well, at least that's one of the magic of PC gaming, that you can do stuff like that. What do I take from all this? I don't know, whatever you want to take from it. Death the author, what have you. I'm a little unclear on what that question even means. Are you asking me to try and spell out the moral? Because I don't really want to do that. I don't think this story has a moral, at least not an explicit one. Whatever's there, I want people taking their own way. You know, the original Zodiac Trial, I made a big point to give all characters a case against the man in defense. I explicitly wanted to leave it open for his opinion, who was worse than who was more culpable than who, even the mastermind could be argued in favor of. In this version of the story, I'm a little less inclined to treat all characters equally. If you think Mouse, Bunny, and Monkey all have equal levels of culpability, well, that's certainly not what I was going for, but I think there's a lot of room for interpretation of the story, a lot of things. Ultimately, take what you want. And, yeah, like I said, I think I was a bit too harsh on some characters, while others I feel I could have been more harsh on. I do strongly think I did have a good idea of the direction things were taking, but I will openly admit I tripped off at the finish line. that happens, for better or for worse. Although I guess now that I think about it, when the option may be if not making a mistake would. I guess that also applies to the text puzzles, because while a character usually will stop by and correct you, give you the right answer, if that's the case, a character will stop by and tell you that's the case. So, I've lost my train of thought. While a character doesn't stop by, it does still make note that you did mess up the puzzle, so yeah. On a puzzle. Hope you enjoy the tricks and will spread throughout the game. If you're looking for interesting characters, I hope everyone's backstory is interesting. Give you enough. I'll definitely agree that the writing for the characters and overall story for this game is significantly stronger than the gameplay. The simple text puzzles aren't really a big deal in any case. It's a VN, so I'm perfectly fine giving the leeway for that. I mean, I do for Ace Attorney and such. It would be a bit hypocritical for me to suddenly put the line here, you know? Then again, that might have been intended here to an extent, influenced here to an extent. Incidentally, back to the Danganronpa comparison here. If you're looking for a serious tale with themes of free will and justice, I hope there was enough content of that nature to chew on. Well, don't worry, it got me to blabber on about things nobody else but me cares about. Which is, of course, the reason streamers like to do that, right? If nothing else, we found something worthwhile on all this. I guess this is done for now. I see you around. Alright. There was something I wanted to bring between Danganronpa 1, which I meant to bring up earlier when I was doing the final analysis, but I forgot. Okay. Most people who are aware of Danganronpa 1 are already aware of this, but when that game was originally conceived, they were planning to have something kind of similar to this, where, depending on the player's actions, a different person could be murdered and would be the culprit, and you'd have to figure out that for the class trial. But after development happened, they ended up deciding to go for a more linear story, which is also why it's a bit difficult to talk about Danganronpa games without spoiling. The Zero Escape is a bit more open-ended, and I imagine is a bit and since this does take place in a high school murder game of sorts, it does have some similarities to the original intent of Danganronpa, it feels like. But yeah, it's definitely a lot similar to Zero Escape, and I think it did a very good job of that. The only real complaint I have is that Zero Escape games do have one thing that you may remember from anyone who was here back when I streamed those. They have a flowchart so you can easily travel from one timeline to another to go through the ones you haven't done yet. I do appreciate the little exclamation point option here that allows me to skip to the path splits. That is really good, but a visual one might have helped. But that complaint only goes so far, because even the original Zero Escape 1 did not actually have a flowchart like that. If you watch my stream and are wondering why back then and were wondering why, didn't Zero Escape 1 have a flowchart? That's because I was playing the Steam re-release of Zero Escape 1 and 2, the Nonary games, and that re-release includes a flowchart for Zero Escape 1 where it didn't originally have it, as well as redo the final puzzle because the original game was on DS. And long story short, the final puzzle required both screens, but obviously that doesn't work on the PC release, so they had to change it to that. I don't want to spoil it for anyone who doesn't play, but it was a significantly different puzzle in the end. So yeah. Even the first Zero Escape game did not actually have a flowchart, so if they do another one of these, that would be nice. But they do have another game out. That reminds me, I did read that this team has released another game. Apparently that's more of a political thriller, and I'm a bit more into murder mystery and into the sort of death game storyline here, but I suppose a political thriller and a murder mystery tend to go hand in hand a lot, so I'll think about that for now, but in the general sense, I'd say my final thoughts on this game is that I'm really glad I played it. It was put off for a while, but I'm glad to have finally gotten through, and it was worth every bit, I'd say. Oh, right, there's still one more death card, and I need to fail here, so... Alright, let's continue here. Right here. Crap, I should have saved, later. Okay, so, yeah, so no matter what, it seems Pig can't have a happy ending here. Oh right, the developed commentary. Originally, Pig's death was a lot more short and tragic. Basically, her murder was a senseless killing without intentions, but eventually I decided that was a bit too hollow. Dog got a good send-off before his true death, and Pig deserves something. Also, I want to change up the murder mystery inside this game, because the original one was a bit weak and out there. So I decided to have Pig use some of her more technical skills to take a real stand, controlling her fate, ultimately force the Mastermind's hand. I like this version a lot better. I also agree that this was a... Alright, Themis, I'm going to agree with your choice here. Because, to be blunt, I think Pig's death, in sacrificing herself, Pig may not have succeeded in her hacking attempt, but it was her death that ultimately caused all the pieces here to fall into place. Because if she didn't die, we would have not had enough evidence to get on Monkey. Yeah, so it definitely feels that her death was, it's a shame she died, her death was absolutely not in vain. This choice is totally meaningless, only there to hide the fact Rooster is going to die. Lots of things to do. Yeah, I guess that makes sense. Huh. I mean, very hardship, there's... Crap. It just seemed like whatever Snake does has during the epilogue based on what we choose. I'm guessing these decisions all determine the ending to get the good ones here. I can imagine why you something like that. I mean, what you said sounds a little disturbing. I don't think her some type of control. I want to control my emotions. They tend to be what's best for me. I probably should go. What are you talking about? What you said? It's not healthy. In fact, it's a bad sign. You should seek help. Ah, fine. No big deal. You should get checked out. Well, if you say so, I guess I could think about it. This scene's kind of a callback to the original scene where you're with Ox in a room, and you have 4 options to choose. They would eventually choose them all, but you can choose them in order. The scene mostly involves you and Ox theorizing, except this time Mouse is clearly the one more front step than Ox. It's such a reference that I literally ripped the code from the first scene, pasted it here, and changed the dialogue. Honestly, I think that's a very intelligent thing. It saves a lot of time, while also allowing you to still get a decent amount of stuff in here, especially since I really do like these investigation scenes, even if they're usually just texts over basic here. Like I said, I can respect that they had to do a lot with a little, and I really do think the developers here did indeed accomplish quite a bit with very little, and I think that's great. Few things to talk about. First off, the original idea was that I wanted a place for those who were really into the mystery solving things to just sit down, look at everything, theorize. Originally, you're gonna have to explain everything, but I thought that'd be acceptable to guess and check. A lot of the other routes have. So I came up with something you need to put in multiple answers, have them all be right to continue. Because of that, it had to be a little much to answer like 10 or much things, so I decided to limit it to big picture. Originally, there wasn't a hint system. This led to some of my playtesters banging their head against the wall for quite a while, so at the behest I added one. To my credit, I already planned on something like that, but their woes expedited the process. I still want to reward those who could make it without reliance on the hint system, but I probably shouldn't spoil those who used it. Probably shouldn't spoil that for those who used it. Yeah, I figured that much. I will openly admit, half of these, indeed, the game did beat me, but the whole time it was pretty clear that there was a true killer. It was not Morris, and likewise, I knew for a fact it had to be one of the members of the 12, to be specific. I was a bit off on the people involved, but I did at least get half there. Then again, 50% is still a failing grade, so... Gather from bringing this core. Doesn't matter what I choose as long as I lose here. Hey, far as you go. I wasn't done putting everything together. Was I not convincing? Was I wrong? Before I could think about it, my stomach got warm. Explosion reached my brain before it was happening. Boom. The red Joker. There are infinite ways for the universe to fail. This is merely one. And there we are, the two Jokers and all other endings. Alright. Yeah. Well, and that was the Zodiac Trial, as I mentioned. And it's pretty much a pure VN, but the overall writing kept me engaged for both the overall story and characters. And for a VN, I'd say that's really good. The team, I could tell they had a lot of budget issues with stuff like limiting how many cutscenes there were and such. But like I said, they did an awful lot with an awful lot with very little, and it was great. Alright. Well, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoy. And I'll see you next time.